Chapter 1082, Plant Essence 2. Don't tell me you guys think this is the climax? Nangong Luyun smiled slightly. No, this is just the beginning. Nangong Luyun still had another millennium-old plant essence in his hand. Li Yaoyao, seeing this, her red lips parted slightly, wanting to say something but hesitating. Third senior brother. She also had a plant spirit pet, which was also about to mutate, if third senior brother gave this millennium-old plant essence to her. However, Li Yaoyao was also afraid that Nangong Luyun wouldn't agree, so she anxiously and pitifully looked towards Nangong Luyun. Nangong Luyun frowned slightly. However, this displeasure flashed by quickly. Soon after, he pretended as if he had not heard Li Yaoyao's voice, continuing with what he was about to do. But Li Yaoyao's lips that were pursed tightly loosened. Third senior brother, this millennium-old plant essence in your hand, can you maybe, Li Yaoyao hesitated, with a wavering appearance. If switched to other people, seeing this pitiful appearance of Li Yaoyao's, certainly, without saying another word, they would have given it to her. Situ Ming also felt that at this time, he ought to give it to her. When all was said and done, Nangong Luyun was still Li Yaoyao's senior brother, although he was normally very sarcastic. Nangong Luyun held the millennium-old plant essence and passed it slightly forward. Li Yaoyao's expression suddenly became delighted. Just when she reached out to receive it, Nangong Luyun's hands brushed past hers. At the same time, he handed the millennium-old plant essence into Su Luo's hand. It said that using it a second time could trigger the second transformation of a variant plant. Your luck has always been good. Come, let's try it. Really? Su Luo's eyes suddenly brightened. A variant plant's second transformation? Then, not only would her acacia tree be restored to its original strength, but its skills would also increase dramatically. Come, try it. Nangong Luyun tenderly looked at her with a smile in his eyes, full of indulgent love. The two people talked as if nobody else was around. Li Yaoyao was like a statue that could be ignored in their eyes. This kind of being coldly ignored was more hurtful than any malicious language. Li Yaoyao was stumped for words on the spot. The fists at her sides were clenched tightly, her sharp nails ruthlessly pinched into her skin, specks of blood flowing out. But she couldn't feel the pain, because her heart was in the most pain. That place seemed to have been pierced through by a sharp sword that was then ruthlessly pulled out again, so painful that she almost suffocated. Li Yaoyao's face was horribly pale. Her body swayed and was almost about to fall. Situ Ming hurriedly protected her by hugging her. He nervously looked at her and anxiously asked, Yaoyao, are you okay? Is it serious? Li Yaoyao's pair of eyes were tightly closed. Tears silently flowed, rolling down endlessly. Her lips were pursed until they became a straight line, repeatedly trembling. Situ Ming lifted his eyes up, with a remote and cold gaze that directly shot towards Nangong Luyun. You went too far. Nangong Luyun indifferently raised an eyebrow, with a smile that was not quite a smile, he said. Where did I go too far? In front of my family's treasured wife's face, you say it clearly, ah. Situ Ming was stuffed up, but just at this time, Li Yaoyao pulled Situ Ming back. Second senior brother, don't say anything anymore. I beg you not to say anything anymore. She was already humiliated like this. If third senior brother was allowed to continue saying things, then she? Li Yaoyao felt a burst of astringent meaning attack her heart, gripping it painfully. Humph! Situ Ming heavily humphed, and carried Li Yaoyao to walk outside of this circle. Su Luo watched Li Yaoyao's back, the corner of her mouth lifting up in a ridiculing smile. She shook her head and began to concentrate on the work in her hand. Su Luo pinched that millennium-old plant essence into pieces and let the green fluorescent light continue to sprinkle on the variant acacia tree. Chapter 1083, Plant Essence 3. One could see those light green tender leaves of the variant acacia tree quickly turn into a dark green color. Afterwards, a thick layer of fog surrounded the variant acacia tree like a cocoon, so thick that people couldn't see what was going on inside. One could only feel the spirit energy of heaven and earth rush into that thick layer of fog. Gradually, the thick fog dispersed. When everyone saw it once again, they couldn't help but be gobsmacked. The variant acacia tree's originally dark green leaves had turned into a golden color, giving off a dazzling luster. Right now, it continuously grew longer and thicker. Its tough, thick vines extended unbounded in all directions, as if it would never stop. Such a great, formidable feeling, Ziyin exclaimed in surprise. She could feel that fresh and pure spirit aura bursting out from the variant acacia tree. All of a sudden, Luo Haochun's eyes lit up. Spirit gathering tree. Luo Haochun cried out in surprise. This is a spirit gathering tree. What's a spirit gathering tree? Su Luo was extremely puzzled. She had never even heard of it. However, the rest of the people's eyes exploded out with brilliant radiance, hot as sunlight. Su Luo's heart became a little scared from being stared by them. What are you guys doing? Su Luo looked at Bei Chen-ying's hungry as a wolf's gaze and weakly asked, Sister-in-law, spirit gathering tree, Don't tell me you have never heard of a spirit gathering tree? Bei Chen-ying wished he could shake her by the shoulders. Spirit gathering tree, this was a real spirit gathering tree. Which clan, which huge influential power, didn't want to have a spirit gathering tree? Having a spirit gathering tree was equivalent to possessing a bright future. When Su Luo's doubtful gaze turned towards Nangong Luyun only revealed a bitter smile. That's right, Su Luo indeed succeeded. Her luck that defied nature made the variant acacia tree transform 2 times. But her luck was really too good, excessively so. Not only did she bring about the variant acacia tree's second transformation, but she also made it transform a 3rd time. A plant spirit pet that could transform 3 times. In this entire world, it was unique, one of a kind. You, Nangong Luyun and Su Luo started to talk at the same time. Su Luo wanted to ask, but she didn't know how to ask. Nangong Luyun wanted to explain, but he had no idea on how to explain it. This variant acacia tree transformed into a spirit gathering tree. It was way outside of Nangong Luyun's expectations. If he knew the result would be this, he certainly would be more low-key and search for a place without anyone else for Su Luo to secretly transform her variant acacia tree, rather than right now, in front of everyone, to expose this treasure. Nangong Luyun forced a smile and touched his nose. Luo, this spirit gathering tree has the exact meaning as its name. Exact meaning as its name? Could it be that her spirit gathering tree could gather spirit force? Yes. The spirit gathering tree can absorb the energies of heaven and earth within a certain range. Afterwards, it would turn the energies into spirit force and discharge it. Nangong Luyun slowly said this, stressing each word. In other words, cultivating under a spirit gathering tree, the result will be a bit faster. A bit faster in speed was just the low end of the theory. In fact, places with spirit gathering trees, the cultivation speed would be multiplied by many folds. For example, regardless of how strong an expert, all of them needed to absorb the energies of heaven and earth. Then through cultivation, they would transform it into spirit force. However, a spirit gathering tree could automatically transform the energies, and the person cultivating only needed to absorb it. This kind of treasure that defied natural order was now in Su Luo's palm. Nangong Luyun's gaze swept over the 4 people on the opposing team. His eyes were ink-black with hidden depths, abstruse like the ocean, and enigmatic. No one could see clearly the meaning in his eyes. Chapter 1084, Plant Essence 4. If Nangong Luyun wanted to kill them, it would be as easy as a turn of his hands. Therefore, it's best for them to keep a low profile. Although Nangong Luyun didn't say it openly, Su Luo could clearly see the reaction of the people around her. She had already understood what a hot potato this spirit-gathering tree was. Now, in this 9 different palace halls, the greed in the depths of these people's eyes was undoubtedly revealed. If they got out of Xianzwood residence, Su Luo suddenly felt her scalp go numb. How could it transform into a spirit-gathering tree? Simply incomprehensible, Bei Chen saw the atmosphere was awkward, so he started to jest. Ziyin was also puzzled. Theoretically, it shouldn't do it on the 2nd transformation, okay? How could it directly skip to the 3rd step? Luo, your luck is really too Zian wanted to say that she had good luck, but then thought of how hot this spirit-gathering tree was. So temporarily, she didn't know if she ought to say whether Su Luo's luck was good or bad. The Su Luo right now was exceedingly speechless. She secretly guessed it couldn't be because the variant acacia tree had stayed in her space for a long time, so was smoothed over by the spirit force in her space, thereby causing this time's sudden change. At this moment, Luo Haochen's gaze stealthily sized up the spirit-gathering tree that made his heart leap in excitement and fear. He swore, no matter what methods he had to use, he must have that spirit-gathering tree. Through this, his Luo family would rise up in this world and sit on the throne among the great powers. This was his family's wish for hundreds and thousands years. Maybe it could be achieved in his hands. Just when he let his imagination roam, Nangong Liuyun's gaze fell on his body. Luo Haochen only felt his heart jump wildly. In a split second, his gaze turned away. Nangong Liuyun's icy sneer made him feel as if he was dropped into an ice cellar. Luo Haochen turned his face away and avoided Nangong Liuyun's eyes. Then, he buried the greed in his eyes in the deepest part of his heart. Who wouldn't want a spirit-gathering tree? Which family would be willing to give up such a temptation so easily? Li Yaoyao originally was jealous of Su Luo, so jealous that she nearly went insane. But now, her eyes had malicious rays of light that roamed around. She knew, as long as she got out, Su Luo would die for sure. Nangong Luyun gently patted Su Luo's shoulder. "It's nothing, I will always be here with you." Su Luo faintly smiled. "I know." She knew, this matter, Nangong Luyun had his own resolution. Therefore, these troublesome things would be given over to him to handle properly. Su Luo, in passing, collected the variant acacia tree. Now, this variant acacia tree had already changed its name to be called Spirit Gathering Tree. The scene changed. The 8 people had already arrived at the 4th challenge. The 4th challenge of the 9 different palace halls. This was a vast grassland. As far as the eye could see, everything was green. An endless green that unfolded on a grand scale. Su Luo and the others searched for a long time and couldn't find any trace of magical beasts. Then, in the end, what was the rule for this challenge? What would be regarded as passing? At this moment, a huge question mark hung above everyone's heads. Just when everyone was still puzzled, a pitch-black human face suddenly appeared in midair. The human face was very large, nearly taking up more than half of the horizon. "Ha ha ha ha, little lady, never expected that your luck is this good. 2 millennium-old plant essences are able to raise a spirit-gathering tree that hadn't appeared in the world. In the future, you just wait to be chased all over the world to be killed. Ah." Ha ha ha, Su Luo's eyes wrinkled. Her heart was already extremely gloomy, and this master of the 9 different palace halls actually still ran over to taunt her, still saying she would be chased all over the world to be killed. However, fortunately, after the master of the 9 different palace halls had finished making fun of her, he then returned to the main topic. The requirement for the 4th challenge is very simple. In this vast grassland, you must find frost grass within the stipulated time. The more the better. He had just finished speaking, not waiting for these people to ask. His smiling face had already disappeared into the horizon. Chapter 1085, Plant Essence 5. Hey, how long is the stipulated time? Ziyin jumped up and wanted to ask for clarification, but that person's face had already disappeared cleanly. Bei Qining spread out his hands. "Forget it, in any case, everyone has same amount of time. We aren't at a disadvantage. We can only console ourselves this way." Ziyin sighed. "But frost grass? What is frost grass anyway?" Not only Ziyin, but even the 4 people on Li Yaoyao's side also had this question. Su Luo's eyes stared intently at the grass and the surrounding. After a cup of tea's time, Su Luo walked forward, and from the grassy field, pulled out a finger-length green grass leaf. "Look, this is it," Su Luo explained. Frost grass, according to records in the ancient books, is a kind of medical grass that can withstand miasmic aura. It only grows in the extreme northern grasslands, very rare. It can grow up to 2 thumbs width and length, with leaves that are no different than common weeds. It's very hard for people to find. What very difficult for people to find? It is simply impossible to find. Okay? They are simply growing among the weeds. Ziyin frustratedly had her hands on her forehead. It was no different than ordinary weeds, and only 2 thumbs width long, growing among the weeds, and was still very rare. Who the fuck could find it? Su Luo spread out her hands. We can only search for it inch by inch. Using spirit power to search inch by inch was the simplest and most effective method. At this time, not waiting for Su Luo to speak, Li Yaoyao's side of 4 people had already teamed up to search in a row. We'll go a bit farther. Nangong Luyun picked up Su Luo. Within a few steps' time, he had already disappeared in place. Ziyin depressedly grabbed her hair. Don't know what craziness that master of the 9 different palace halls is thinking. What's the point of searching for frost grass? I would rather fight with monsters. At least searching for this frost grass won't injure us. Also, Su Luo has a little bit of advantage. Bei Qining pulled her to leave with quick steps. Nangong Liuyun's group went east, then we'll go north. Quickly, let's go, let's go. Speaking of Su Luo's side, when she opened her eyes again, in the surroundings, there was only Nangong Luyun that remained. No need to rush. Nangong Luyun gave a demonically charming smile and his sleeves waved. Immediately, 2 chairs and a low table appeared on the leveled ground. On the short table, there was even a simmering pot of green tea. The green tea released a rich aroma. Come, have a taste of this fairy tea. Nangong Luyun leisurely called out to Su Luo. That action, that expression, so leisurely as if vacationing in another of his mansions, rather than with their life on the line in Xian's would residence's 9 different palace halls. Su Luo was angered till she laughed. Now is at a critical moment. You are still in the mood to drink tea? Just now, during the 3rd challenge, it was how thrilling and how stimulating. If Li Yaoyao got 2 more points, that millennium-old plant essence would have ended up in her hands. A competition where success is within grasp. What's there to be nervous about? Sit down. Nangong Liuyun's hand pressed down and Su Luo sat on the soft chair. Success within grasp? Su Luo's eyes narrowed slightly. How was it that she didn't know that success was within grasp? If there was only Nangong Luyun by himself, then naturally, success was within grasp, but adding her, then there would be many more variables. Come, have a taste of this fairy tea. Outsiders won't have the chance to drink it. Nangong Luyun skillfully bathed the tea, brewed the tea, and finally poured a small cup full of tea. Then, he personally held the cup to the edge of Su Luo's lips. Since Nangong Luyun was so confident, what was there for Su Luo to worry about? Letting his white as jade, long, slender fingers hold it, she drank that cup of fairy tea. Worthy of being called fairy tea. Only one mouthful, Su Luo could feel the suffocating air in her heart and lungs all disappear, and it felt calm and stress-free. Even her mouth was full of a refreshing fragrance. Chapter 1086, Plant Essence, 6. How is it? A soft light drifted through Nangong Liuyun's starry pupils. Not bad. What's not bad? This was simply the best tea Su Luo had ever had in both lifetimes. Moreover, Su Luo also faintly felt, as the fairy tea flowed into her stomach, a warm heat from her pubic region slowly flowed up to roam all over. More and more spirit energy amassed in her body. Unfortunately, her body was really bad, unable to complete the breakthrough. The 2 people leisurely and comfortably drank tea. Time passed, minute by minute. You actually stayed calm. Nangong Liuyun's eyes glittered with light, giving voice to light laughter. Doesn't everything have you to take care of it? Why should I worry? Su Luo smilingly looked at him, freely saying so. Nangong Luyun was beaming with joy. For a moment, his mood was extremely good. With this unconditional trust. Since it's like this, then I can't let you be disappointed. Nangong Luyun put down his teacup and said to Su Luo, want to find frost grass for them? It's very difficult. However, for you, it's simply too easy. Oh. A light flashed in Su Luo's eyes. Could it be that she still had an advantage in this challenge? Don't tell me that it's the spirit gathering tree? Su Luo's eyes lit up as she immediately understood. It's precisely the spirit gathering tree. Nangong Luyun nodded his head. You let the spirit gathering tree out, then afterwards, sit and wait to pull up the net. Sit and wait to pull up the net? Could it be that Nangong thought her spirit gathering tree could fish? Although she silently disagreed in her head, however, Su Luo still was very trusting of Nangong Luyun. Su Luo summoned out the spirit gathering tree. At this moment, all the branches and leaves on the spirit gathering tree were a dark golden color. It glistened brightly in the sunlight. Its brilliance dazzled the eyes. At this moment, the spirit gathering tree seemed to have too much spirit power that it couldn't release. Su Luo gave a command, and the spirit gathering tree then eagerly ran into the underbrush. This spirit gathering tree ran very fast when it was still a variant acacia tree. Now, after its second transformation, that speed was even more astonishing. With a few whoosh, whoosh sounds, one already couldn't see its figure. Seeing this, Nangong Liuyun's thin lips curled up slightly. This 9 different palace halls reward can barely be considered passable. It's a pity to let it run off. Finished speaking, he stood up and said to Su Luo, "You sit here properly, don't go anywhere, understand?" "Okay." Su Luo smiled. With the spirit gathering tree running around helping her to collect the grass, she naturally was happy to be idle. Only, she hadn't tried it before, so didn't know if the spirit gathering tree could do it or not. If it really could do it, then in the future, when she went to collect medicinal herbs, then it would certainly be more convenient. Su Luo thought, being pleased with herself. Time gradually passed. Nangong Luyun, once left, didn't return. The spirit gathering tree had also run so far that it had disappeared without a trace. Just when Su Luo was bored to the point of about to doze off, a few figures appeared in front of her. Even though Su Luo's body was seriously injured, her vigilance was still very strong. She opened her eyes and looked at the people before her with a cold gaze. Li Yaoyao and Situ Ming. Weren't the two of them on the west side? Why did they run over here? Su Luo sat on the chair without batting an eyelid, indifferently drinking the tea and didn't pay them any heed. Li Yaoyao walked a few steps closer, pulled out the chair and sat in Nangong Liuyun's previous seat. "You are so leisurely." Li Yaoyao mockingly gazed at Su Luo, the intent to kill secretly rushing forcefully into her eyes. The corner of Su Luo's mouth hooked up in a shallow smile. "Does Miss Li have an objection?" In Li Yaoyao's eyes, there was a murderous, cold intent. "Su Luo, you are still as arrogant as before. Believe it or not, now, with just a slap from my palm, I can kill you?" In fact, Li Yaoyao's words were not false. Based on her current strength, to deal with Su Luo, she didn't need to use a slap. One of her fingers could crush her to death. However, Su Luo only smiled shallowly. Chapter 1087, Plant Essence, 7. "Miss Li, you want to move against me?" Su Luo slanted a glance at her, as if she was looking at an idiot. A threat of rage flashed through Li Yaoyao's eyes. "You really believe I won't dare to kill you?" Li Yaoyao's body leaned forward, leaning close to Su Luo. She slowly and deliberately said it in a threatening manner. "That's right, you wouldn't dare." Su Luo's expression was full of smiles. Situ Ming, in an ice-cold manner, gazed at Su Luo. "Miss Su, give some thought to your life. Speak fewer words." Even Situ Ming believed that if Li Yaoyao wanted to kill Su Luo, that it would be an extremely easy matter. The corner of Li Yaoyao's mouth revealed lights of victory. She proudly raised an eyebrow with the posture of a victorious person on top. "If you beg me, then I may let you live." Who would have thought that Su Luo would laugh out loud with a pft sound? "What are you laughing at?" Li Yaoyao slapped the table in a rage. "You really think I won't dare to kill you?" Li Yaoyao extended her arm and was just about to pinch Su Luo's neck. If Su Luo was pinched by her, based on her current weak body, everything truly pointed to disaster. A strange malicious luster flashed through Li Yaoyao's eyes. If she could kill Su Luo, then it couldn't be better. "Yaoyao, stop." Situ Ming's eyes were swift with quicker hands. With one grab, he pulled Li Yaoyao's hand to a stop. "Second senior brother." Both of Li Yaoyao's hands were imprisoned, and she couldn't help but to glower at Situ Ming. Situ Ming had no choice. "If you kill her, you think Nangong Luyun will let you go?" Everyone knew Nangong Luyun cherished Su Luo to the utmost. If anyone dared to touch a single one of Su Luo's hair, that would definitely be a disaster on the level of exterminating the entire family. Why would Yao Yao still not understand this even till now? If Situ Ming hadn't mentioned it, then good. But once he said it, the jealousy and anger in Li Yao Yao's eyes flourished even more. Second senior brother, let go now. If I don't make a move now, then there won't be an opportunity in the future. Third senior brother is not here. Who would know it was us that did it? Li Yao Yao said this and again tried to rush up. Yao Yao, why do you still obstinately persist in going about things the wrong way, even now? If Su Luo really dies here, no matter who is the murderer, everyone, without exception, will be massacred by Nangong Luyun. Do you understand or not? Situ Ming was so angry that even the muscles on his face trembled. Li Yao Yao bit her lower lip and very fiercely glared at Su Luo. Li Yao Yao originally didn't believe it, but Situ Ming's gaze was unprecedentedly serious. The warning in his eyes gave Li Yao Yao no choice but to believe it. No wonder this little slut was so confident that she wouldn't dare make a move against her. So it was because of this. Humph. Consider this your lucky day. Li Yao Yao, with a wave of her hand, that teapot containing the fairy tea fell down with a clang sound. At the same time, two snow-white colored balls leapt towards that fairy tea at the speed of light. The teapot was snatched away by the little divine dragon before it landed on the ground. The little divine dragon held the teapot with both paws. With glup sounds he poured it into his belly. That expression was one of extreme satisfaction. On the side, the little nine-tailed spirit fox stood up on tiptoes, running around the little divine dragon in circles. Its whole face was full of anxiety and longing, with its 9 little tails impatiently waving to and fro. However, the little divine dragon didn't have the slightest concept of being affectionate towards the young, so he lifted the teapot up high, drinking it and enjoying himself to the fullest. Awoo, the little 9-tailed spirit fox was shorter than the little divine dragon. It was still shorter than the little divine dragon even on tiptoes. She could only helplessly use her 2 little paws to grab the little divine dragon's claw and continuously try to pull it down to her chin while cutely wailing awoo, awoo. The little divine dragon swatted away her little paws and continued to drink. Awoo, awoo, the little 9-tailed spirit fox was so anxious that tears nearly fell out. Finally, the little divine dragon saw that there was only a mouthful left, before reluctantly handing the teapot over to the little 9-tailed spirit fox. He even patted her small head in passing. Chapter 1088, Plant Essence 8. Wherefore would the little 9-tailed spirit fox still care about his loathsome paw on her head? Now, all her attention was on that fairy tea. The little 9-tailed spirit fox raised the teapot with both hands, tasting it drop by drop, in an exceedingly cherishing manner. Seeing these 2 adorable jade-like snow-white spirit pets, Li Yao Yao almost went insane from jealousy. So adorable. Really wanted to steal them and take them home to raise. Thinking this way, the movement of her hands also wasn't slow. However, when her evil hands stretched out towards the little 9-tailed spirit fox, the little thing thought Li Yao Yao wanted to fight over the fairy tea with her. The little fox, that was protecting her food, jumped up with an awoo howl, with a little face that was stretched taut and strict. That little claw aggressively tapped towards Li Yao Yao's forehead. In theory, the little 9-tailed spirit fox's strength wasn't that much stronger than Li Yao Yao. However, Li Yao Yao couldn't defend against its quickness, since it was an expert at speed. Let alone the fact that Li Yao Yao simply wasn't guarded against it in any way. So, in this way, Li Yao Yao ate a huge loss. Just when the little fox's small claws tapped towards Li Yao Yao's forehead, our exceedingly refined Jade Lake's fairy suddenly, in a split second, was turned into a little lamb. A little lamb that was lying on its stomach on the ground, nibbling on grass. Su Luo stared with eyes open wide. She was so flabbergasted that her mind was in chaos. Situ Ming had his mouth opened wide in shock, simply didn't know how he should react. The Jade Lake's fairy that had returned to her senses was about to collapse. Bah, bah, bah. The Jade Lake's fairy waved her hooves and was about to rush up. However, she had just been turned into a four-legged animal. Our Jade Lake's fairy still hadn't adapted to this new form. So, using her hands and feet, she made the mistake of using it all at the same time. With a splat sound, the elegant and refined Jade Lake's fairy fell down in place. No matter what, she couldn't climb up. Ha ha ha, Su Luo couldn't hold it back anymore. She hammered the ground and laughed her head off. She laughed so hard that tears almost came out. It was really too funny. Li Yaoyao actually had a day like this. Su Luo wiped at her tears and, with great difficulty, she restrained her laughter. However, when she lifted her eyes up and once again saw that lamb-shaped Jade Lake's fairy, as a result, the laughter she had restrained with great difficulty once again erupted. Situ Ming's entire face was black as the bottom of a pot. Only, at this moment, he didn't dare act blindly without thinking, because he didn't know the secret to the transform into sheep technique. He didn't know whether this transform into sheep technique was temporary or permanent. Fearing the unknown, consequently, he didn't dare to rashly make a move against Su Luo. However, even if he was to make a move, Su Luo might not necessarily lose to him, because Su Luo had two spirit pets present at her side. The little divine dragon had considerable strength at that time. He played tricks on Li Yaoxiang. Now, he wouldn't necessarily be unable to defeat Situ Ming. What's more, there was still a little nine-tailed spirit fox that could change a person into a lamb at any time. Su Luo, in the end, what are you doing? Hurry up and change Yao Yao back. Situ Ming took a few steps forward to help the lamb-shaped Li Yao Yao up. That fall from just now nearly fractured the lamb's legs and feet. Su Luo, with great difficulty, stopped laughing and stammeringly said, "You don't think this kind of Jade Lake's fairy is quite docile and cute in comparison?" Changed her into a sheep, and to go as far as to still say she was docile and cute? Li Yaoyao was so angry that she almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Situ Ming glared furiously at Su Luo. "When all is said and done, are you going to change her back or not? Don't force me." Su Luo, usually, when she hesitated to do something, was even less likely to do it when forced. She only did it with soft persuasion and never orders. Originally, she still wanted to kindly inform him that when time was up, the Jade Lake's fairy would change back from a lamb into a person. However, since Situ Ming threatened her, humph, think she was a big fool that would be easily scared? If you have the ability, then try it. Su Luo waved her hand, and the two little spirit pets jumped on her shoulder, with one on the right and the other on the left. Chapter 1089, Plant Essence 9. Seeing those two small spirit pets on Su Luo's shoulder glaring like tigers watching their prey, Situ Ming stopped. Although those two spirit pets were only palm-sized, their strength, however, was extraordinarily formidable. Even he wouldn't necessarily win against them. Just now, if Yao Yao had moved her hand, very likely now, she wouldn't even have her hands. Thinking of this, Situ Ming's heart was slightly horrified. He never would have imagined this little girl who seemingly would collapse with a blow of the wind actually had this kind of strength. She really concealed it deeply without revealing anything. Situ Ming gave a cold snort. Just at this moment, two people flew over from the direction facing them. These two people weren't any other people. They were Bai Chen-ing and Ziyin. The two people had searched for half a day and didn't find many. Afterwards, Bai Chen-ing slapped his forehead. "We'll go look for Luo Luo. She'll certainly have a quicker way." Don't ask Bai Chen-ing why he would think this way. This was just his intuition. In his impression, this stuff that depends on luck, no one could beat Su Luo. The two people clicked together and the pair flew towards the east. Second senior brother. Why are you here?" Ziyin saw Situ Ming and couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Situ Ming gave a cold snort. Seeing that terrible complexion on his face, Ziyin originally wanted to ignore him, but she felt it was really strange. Where was the Jade Lake's fairy who was always inseparable from Situ Ming? Where's Li Yao Yao? Ziyin glanced left and right, up and down, and just didn't see Li Yaoyao's figure. She couldn't help but be extremely curious. When these words came out, Su Luo, with a pft, laughed out loud. Situ Ming's complexion was so dark it was almost like the night. The little lamb in his arms was stirred up and restless, as if it was about to dash up to tear Ziyin into pieces. However, our heroic Ziyin really didn't know that the Jade Lakes fairy was changed into a little lamb. She asked Situ Ming with very good intentions. Second senior brother, you really tossed aside Li Yaoyao, that white lotus flower? Hey, didn't I say it? Our second senior brother's eyes were momentarily covered over with paste. Now, you finally pushed aside the clouds and missed to see the clear sky, right? You saw Li Yaoyao's true colors, right? Bah, bah, bah. The little lamb agitatedly and restlessly dug at the ground and furiously dug out a deep hole. If it wasn't for Situ Ming tenaciously restraining Li Yaoyao, at this moment, she would already have turned into a hungry wolf. Hey, this little lamb is really cute. Ha ha ha, it can even get angry. What is it angry about? Is it because it's hungry? Ziyin, smiling happily, pulled out a stalk of grass and put it in front of the little lamb's mouth, teasing it. Li Yaoyao was so angry that she was trembling from head to toe. She was unexpectedly really being treated as a lamb. Wow, little shadow. You see, this sheep is even trembling. Do you think it has epilepsy? Ziyin made a big fuss. If she wasn't certain that Ziyin didn't know the truth, even Su Luo would think she was pretending. This girl's expressions and exaggerated movements were extremely well done. Simply brilliant. Su Luo coughed lightly. Ziyin, where it is possible to let people off, one should spare them. You should say a little less, okay? Ziyin was extremely puzzled. What where it is possible to let people off, one should spare them? This is a sheep. Don't tell me you think this is Li Yaoyao. Su Luo once again let out a pft sound and couldn't help but to laugh out loud. What if I said she really is Li Yaoyao? Su Luo said, laughing happily. Sister-in-law, you really love joking around. Ha ha ha, ha ha. Beichening hadn't finished laughing when that little lamb in front of him, with a speed that was visible to the naked eye, changed into a person. Moreover, this person was someone everyone was most familiar with, Li Yaoyao. Bei Chenying's smile immediately stiffened at the corner of his mouth. Momentarily, the corner of his mouth twitched. She is. Cough, cough, cough. Bei Chenying choked on his own saliva. Chapter 1090, Plant Essence, 10. Su Luo spread out both hands, with an as expected appearance. Didn't I say so? She really is Li Yaoyao. Bei Chenying recalled Li Yaoyao's appearance from just now going ba ba ba. All of a sudden, he hammered the ground and howled with laughter. Ziyin also followed after to laugh with him. The two people held their stomachs and rolled around on the meadow like idiots, stammeringly shouting, "Ouch! I'm dying of laughter! I'm dying of laughter!" Li Yaoyao was so angry that her complexion turned red, so red that watery blood almost dripped out. She, from childhood to adult, since she was born, had never been so disgraced like this. Su Luo, I'm going to stake it all with you. Li Yaoyao was like a bull. Disregarding the consequences, she abruptly crashed towards Su Luo. Her speed was very quick and her strength was also unprecedentedly huge. If she was hit by Li Yaoyao, even 100 Su Luos would be crushed into meat patty. Just at this crucial moment, two white jade-like slender fingers with clear joints extended out. With a casual slap, Li Yaoyao was suddenly slapped to the point of being dizzy with blurred vision. Her buttocks sat down hard on the grassy meadow. Nangong Luyun appeared as if about to vent his fury. The expression in his eyes was menacing as he glared at Li Yaoyao in an ice-cold manner. You want to die? If she wanted to die, Nangong Luyun absolutely wouldn't mind helping her to succeed. Li Yaoyao raised her head, meeting those cold eyes that were like millennium-old frozen ice. For a split second, her entire body seemed to have been frozen. A chilly gust slowly rose up from the soles of her feet. It was as if a basin of ice water was poured over her head, In a flash, she sobered up. Situ Ming took 2 steps forward. With a cold voice, he said, "This matter was not Yao Yao's fault alone. You might as well go ask your treasured Su Luo. See in the end what she really did." A soft breeze brushed past. The corner of Nangong Liuyun's gown under his jade belt flew up and over, being torn by the wind. His ink-colored long hair hung down on his broad shoulders. His beautiful eyes hid a sinister charm. "Ask Luo Luo?" Nangong Luyun gave a sneer. With a gaze as if looking at an idiot, he cast a demeaning glance at Situ Ming. "Even if my family's Luo Luo wanted to massacre all in the whole world, then it ought to be so. How could she possibly make me wrong?" Nangong Liuyun's gaze was cruel, untamed, and bloodthirsty, with a clear, cold, empty tone that was well known for being terrifying. Once these words were out, immediately, everyone was dumbfounded. The shielding of Su Luo's errors in covering it up, from Nangong Liuyun's words, the meaning was simply nakedly clear. No matter what his family's treasured Luo Luo did, it was all correct as it should be. If someone, because of this, was jealous and wanted to retaliate, then they all deserved to die and couldn't be forgiven. Unyielding, loving her to the point of obtaining just one smile of hers, he would even fight the entire world. This was really... Bei Qining secretly gave him a thumbs up. Inferior, he was totally inferior to Nangong Luyun, his second brother. Situ Ming was stumped for words. He originally believed that Nangong Luyun ought to explain everything to the end, right? This time, Su Luo changed Li Yao Yao into a lamb. However you sliced it, she was in the wrong, right? However, he did thousands, no, 10 of thousands of calculations. No matter what, he couldn't calculate that Nangong Luyun would be biased to the point of as it should be by right and completely unreasonable. Situ Ming suddenly felt that his entire worldview was broken. He completely didn't know how he ought to react. Li Yao Yao was more obvious, directly passing out from being angered. "Nangong Luyun, you simply... Situ Ming simply didn't know what words he should use to describe this sinister and ruthless male. Just when the atmosphere was tense, in the air, that huge person's shadow faintly appeared. "Time's up. Now hand in all of your frost grass." The master of the 9 different palace halls' tone carried a thread of mocking banter, as if he was just hiding in the layers of cloud, with a gaze that saw through everything, watching them attentively as if watching a play. Chapter 1091. The Fifth Challenge, 1. This appearance of the 9 different palace halls' master really reminded everyone that now was not the time to get angry. Li Yao Yao sent a sinister glance at Su Luo and took out a handful of frost grass from her sleeve and went up to hand it in. Situ Ming also didn't lag behind. He also had a whole bundle of frost grass. Judging at a glance, the amount the 2 people collected couldn't be less than 70. Sure enough, the master of the 9 different palace halls, with a sweep of his eyes, was able to determine the specific amount. 74? Your luck is not bad. Unexpectedly, you 2 found a source of frost grass. Li Yao Yao's face was full of self-satisfaction. If it wasn't for her finding a source of frost grass, how would they have the time to come here for revenge? Naturally, they had the confidence in their hearts. 74 stalks of frost grass, surveying among everyone before her, who could compare to hers. Li Yao Yao felt that, this time, no matter what, she would win handily. As expected, Bei Qining and Ziyan's, in comparison, was pathetic. In total, they only took out 30 stalks. These 30 stalks still cost them a tremendous amount of effort and difficulty before they had pulled it out. Didn't expect that Li Yao Yao and Situ Ming had conveniently found a source of frost grass, simply made one angry from constantly comparing to other people. After Bei Qining and Ziyan handed over the frost grass, they were like a pair of frosted-over eggplants, with their heads hanging down. The Luo siblings' performance this time also wasn't too good. The 2 people, in order to get the unknown reward, could be said to have searched in a manner of staking their lives on it. However, the final result still didn't exceed people's expectations. They turned in 25 stalks of frost grass. As a result, the current scores were Li Yao Yao's team, 74, Beichen Ying's team, 30, Luo Haochen's team, 25. The remaining was Su Luo's team. Su Luo, yet see, this time, how many you can take out? Li Yaoyao's eyes were full of hatred. She clearly saw that only third senior brother went to search for it. Su Luo stayed leisurely in place, not moving a single step. Just like this, the most they could get was 50 points. Li Yaoyao thought in her heart, being pleased with herself, waiting to watch Su Luo eat a loss. Nangong Luyuan opened his hand. A bunch of frost grass was clenched in the center of his palm. Not too many, not too little, exactly 50 stalks. I keep saying, no matter how great third senior brother is, still can't get much more. Nangong Luyuan shot her an indifferent glance based on Nangong Luyuan's strength. If he wanted to pick a little more, it wouldn't have been difficult at all, but the problem was, when he had plucked 50 stalks, he was unable to pick any more frost grass. In this 9 different palace halls, there was a formidable force in the dark, controlling everything. Haha, you only have 50 stalks, we win this challenge. Li Yaoyao happily exclaimed. Victory, apart from being able to get the reward. The most important thing was that she could suppress down over Su Luo's head. This was the matter that made Li Yaoyao the happiest. However, Su Luo, with a smile that was not quite one, laughed with joy. You really feel that you have one? You guys only have 50 stalks. This fact is arranged in front of your eyes. Don't tell me you think we are all blind? Li Yaoyao gave a heavy snort. Su Luo smiled some more, then she lightly lifted up her hand. Very quickly, that spirit-gathering tree that could blind people's eyes ran over with jolting buttocks. When Li Yaoyao saw that spirit-gathering tree, she directly stopped to stare foolishly. She suddenly saw. This spirit-gathering tree's enormous roots were condensed into 4 legs. Even she felt inferior to that running speed. This was not the most important point. The important point was that those huge tree leaves on that spirit-gathering tree, every leaf was wrapped around a single frost grass. Li Yaoyao was struck dumb from seeing this. Su Luo lightly coughed. That spirit-gathering tree then ran up to hand her the frost grass eagerly with jolting buttocks. When it passed by Li Yaoyao's side, don't know if it was because it held a grudge. It rolled past like a gust of wind, nearly knocking down Li Yaoyao. Chapter 1092, The Fifth Challenge, 2. Once the spirit-gathering tree arrived, the dominant position that Li Yaoyao originally occupied was counterattacked in an instant. The spirit-gathering tree also handed in 50 stalks of frost grass. This was only because it was under restriction, so it could only pick this many. Otherwise, that amount could directly terrify Li Yaoyao to tears. This challenge's scores had already been spun out by the turntable. Li Yaoyao's team, 74 points. Ziyan's team, 30 points. The Luo siblings, 25 points. As for Su Luo's team, they didn't receive the full score everyone was expecting. Rather, they got 75 points. Because Su Luo didn't put in the effort, so 25 points were deducted from the score. Again, it only differed by 1 point. Li Yaoyao's eyes nearly shot out flames. Because the resulting score was exactly the same for this challenge as the last challenge. Li Yaoyao's team, 74 points, and Su Luo's team was 75 points. It was merely a difference of 1 point, and Li Yaoyao once again suffered a defeat. Li Yaoyao's mood was simply like falling from the heavens into hell. Then, making 2 round trips from heaven to hell. Oh, not bad, not bad. You guys actually picked a full 100 stalks. This is the first in the hundreds and thousands of years that I have been around. A trace of contemplation flashed across that enormous face in the sky. Looks like I'd better reward this well. Even given a good reward? Li Yaoyao almost went crazy from jealousy. At this moment, everyone was impatiently staring at that enormous face. Just at this time, 2 warm bands of light flashed by, and 2 chunks of stones appeared in the center of Su Luo and Nangong Liyuan's palms, settling there steadily. These were 2 chunks of fiery red stones. This is... Su Luo felt that this stone seemed somewhat familiar. Very quickly, she remembered where she had seen it before. At that time, when Grandmaster Rong Yuan was accepting disciples, It was exactly this kind of stone that he asked her and Li Yaoyao to find in the demon cave. Reportedly, it was called fire source stones. However, very clearly, the energies contained in these two chunks of stone were much stronger than those in the fire source stones. This is the fire source stone essence. Without waiting for Su Luo to ask, Li Yaoyao had already cried out in surprise. As a dual wood and fire elemental mage, as Jade Lakesley family's most favored princess, Li Yaoyao clearly understood the strength of these two chunks of fire source stone essence more than anyone else. If you must know, even extracting out the energies from 100 chunks of fire source stones wouldn't be as much as the energies from one chunk of fire source stone essence. Fire source stone's value was already excessively high. It could clearly be seen how precious this chunk of fire source stone essence was. The fire source stone essence, with regards to fire elemental mages, was a treasure they would exchange for with their lives. Li Yaoyao's eyes were almost straight from staring. She wished she could rush up to snatch away these two treasures. When Su Luo's hand touched this chunk of fire source stone essence, suddenly, that broken stone in her space that hadn't moved in a long time actually slowly flipped over. At that time when Fairy Yanxia was chasing to kill Su Luo, at the most critical moment, the little stone did not hesitate to destroy his own cultivation in order to burn Fairy Yanxia, thus giving valuable time for Su Luo to jump into the river. Also, because of this, the little stone sank into a coma. Su Luo had experimented many times, but it gave absolutely no reaction. Now, it reacted to this chunk of fire source stone essence. With a flip of Su Luo's hand, that chunk of fire source stone essence had already entered her space. Since Nangong Luyun had already revealed his space bag, Su Luo had no need to cover up the matter of her own space. It seemed to everyone that Su Luo certainly also had a space bag. When this chunk of fire source stone essence landed in her space, it rolled a few times. It rolled to the side of that spirit stone. Just at this moment, don't know where the spirit stone got the ability. One could only see a band of fiery red-colored light spread out, enveloping the entire fire source stone essence. When the fiery red-colored light disappeared, that chunk of fire source stone essence also disappeared along with it. Chapter 1093, The Fifth Challenge, 3. Su Luo speechlessly licked her lips. The reward that was won back with great difficulty disappeared this fast, in the time it took to take a breath. However, what comforted Su Luo was that the decayed air on the little stone's body gradually scattered. It now had a faint, thriving vitality. Seeing this, without demur, Su Luo took the fire source stone essence in Nangong Liuyun's hand and also tossed it into her space. Sure enough, just like what happened now, another bright light enveloped the fire source stone essence. Immediately following that, the fire source stone essence disappeared again. The little stone really could eat, because the little stone had already recognized Su Luo as master from a drop of her blood. Therefore, Su Luo could feel that sudden, thriving vitality from the little stone. She could feel that the little stone was very happy, very merry. Moreover, it still opened its mouth, crying piteously for food. Unfortunately, there were only these two chunks of fire source stone essence. There weren't any more. Li Yaoyao saw Su Luo without demur, snatching away the fire source stone essence from Nangong Liuyun's palm, and an angry look appeared on her face. This woman. Before, third senior brother had already given her the plant essence. Now, she even snatched the fire source stone essence. However, Li Yaoyao lifted up her eyes to see Nangong Liuyun's face, full of love and indulgence towards Su Luo. She suddenly felt some gas stuck in her chest, making her feel unwell from being choked. All the people involved endured this award ceremony. If she jumped out, then she would become the vile person, really about to infuriate her to death. Nangong Liuyun's sharp eyebrows lifted up slightly, his gaze meeting Su Luo's. Su Luo nodded her head without being asked. The two people communicated wordlessly, and the bystanders couldn't make sense of what they saw. Only the two of them understood. Just at this moment, the face in midair suddenly smiled. Now, it is too premature to determine the victor. I'll stealthily tell you guys that the final outcome of these challenges will depend on the total score. Oh, the total score? Nangong Liuyun's pitch-black as ink eyes flashed slightly. This point, he had already guessed. However, Nangong Luyun and Su Luo being well aware of this didn't mean that everyone else had also guessed it. After this was said, the happiest person was none other than Li Yaoyao, the sum of all the scores. In other words, now, my team is number 1. Li Yaoyao almost jumped up from her excitement. Su Luo gloomily exchanged a glance with Nangong Luyun. The speech became prophecy. If it was based on the total score from the 4 challenges from before, Su Luo and Nangong Luyun, this team's score, were not the highest. The sum of the 4 challenges from before, the scores were Beichin and Ziyin, 70 plus 75 plus 60 plus 30235 Li Yaoyao and Situ Ming, 70 plus 35 plus 74 plus 74253 Luo Diei, and Luo Haochen 80 plus 40 plus 50 plus 25195 Nangong, and Luo 50 plus 51 plus 75 plus 75251. As for Su Luo and Nangong Liuyun's team, unexpectedly, they had 251 points. That's right, it was 251 points. Who told them to have such low scores for the first and second challenges? Humph. Still lacking compared to us. What do you have to be proud of? Li Yaoyao coldly snorted towards Su Luo and tauntingly sneered. Su Luo remained silent and rubbed her nose. Besides being depressed, wherefore was she proud? However, Li Yaoyao's current mood changed greatly, with a light echo of being a little crazily insane. Su Luo didn't intend to lower herself to her level. Come, bring your frost grass. Follow me to the 5th challenge. Ha ha ha. Oh, the very splendid 5th challenge. Once the words were said, that face gradually faded away. Everyone only felt their foreheads becoming dizzy. After the dizzy spell, when they opened their eyes, the scene had changed once again. Everyone was clear. Now, they had already arrived at the 5th challenge. Just now, although the master of the 9 different palace halls said it so lightly, but it sounded like it would make a person tremble with fear. Faced with the unknown 5th challenge, everyone's hearts was inevitably somewhat apprehensive. Chapter 1094, The 5th Challenge, 4. The 5th Challenge. This time, the 8 people weren't separated like before. In the end, where was this place? One could only see the towering skies and a countless number of trees in the surroundings. The river chimed like bells uninterrupted. The river water was so clear that you could see to the bottom. This place had preserved the most primitive conditions of a tropical rainforest. Su Luo's eyes flashed slightly. Could it be that this was a virgin tropical rainforest? This 9 different palace halls was really mysterious. Every floor had its own landform. Maybe it was a hillside, maybe a white jade bridge, maybe a grassland. Now, even a virgin tropical forest had appeared. All of a sudden, everyone smelled a not-so-safe scent. Nangong Luyun was the first to return to his senses. A curtain of light directly wrapped around Su Luo, isolating her inside. However, Su Luo, who had already taken a breath, had a kind of blurred feeling, tottering on the verge of collapse. Just now, that breath of poisonous smoke might not seem remarkable, but the concentration of the poison was very high. It was not something that an ordinary person could endure, let alone to say Su Luo body's current condition. In mid-air, that enormous face tilted up and howled with arrogant laughter. Ha 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 ha. You group of fools, you guys really were fooled. Ha 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 ha, Su Luo frowned. So, it turned out that the master of the 9 different palace halls had deliberately set up this trap for them to fall into. In the beginning of the first 4 challenges, it was all very safe. As a result, when everyone entered the 5th challenge, nobody paid any mind. Who would have known that when they took the first breath, they would be poisoned? The 5th challenge, look for vulture eggs. The rules are the same as the 4th challenge. Finished speaking, the master of the 9 different palace halls howled with laughter and disappeared. The rest, he didn't mention in the least bit. What a do? Now, apart from Su Luo who had entered the protective covering, and Nangong Luyun with his formidable cultivation. The rest of the people were all tottering on the edge of collapse. What to do? Could it be that in the 5th challenge, they would die before determining victor? If they were defeated at the 5th challenge, then what's there to talk about getting the reward from the 9th challenge? Nangong Luyun's deep gaze looked at the several people on the other side, the corner of his mouth hooking up into a ghost of a smile with cold intentions. He had a way to break through this poisonous smoke. However, those several people opposite of him must die. Then why not borrow this opportunity? A cold light flashed through Nangong Luyun's eyes. At this moment, Luo Haochen only felt bursts of pain from his chest. Suddenly, he felt a sweet flavor in his throat. Immediately after, he vomited out a mouthful of blood. Blood directly flowed out of Luo Die's nose. No matter what, she couldn't stop it, scaring her to the point of tears furiously falling down with dripping sounds. Li Yaoyao's strength among these people was also near the bottom. Now, she had already started to vomit blood. Just at this moment, that enormous face unexpectedly once again appeared in midair. He howled with ha-ha laughter. This reminder is free of charge. The condition to enter the 9th challenge requires all of you to enter. If you guys are short by one person, TSK, TSK, TSK. When he said these words, those huge eyes on that enormous face looked at Nangong Luyun in a bantering manner. This face appeared and disappeared unpredictably, as if getting joy out of toying with them. As if, within this 9 different palace halls, nothing escaped his eyes. Nangong Luyun coldly humphed. This person clearly came to remind him. Originally, he wanted to take this opportunity to let these people die silently. However, since there was this kind of condition for the 9th challenge, then he couldn't let them die just like this. Even in future battles, he still had to protect them. Thinking of this, Nangong Luyun inevitably felt somewhat gloomy. He lifted his eyes to coldly glare towards that hateful face. In midair, on that enormous face was a pair of eyes, shining brightly like a copper bell. At this moment, he cast a provocative glance at Nangong Luyun. 2 strong experts at the summit of cultivators, just like this, stared at each other, unmoving. Su Luo was still enveloped within the protective cover. Chapter 1095, the 5th challenge, 5. She didn't inhale a lot of the poisonous smoke, and was quickly separated from the source, so right now, her mind was still sharp. But, through the protective cover, she could see Ziyan's face swell to a bright red. Her expression was full of agony. Bei Chenin was also gasping coarsely for breath. He looked like he was about to start vomiting out blood like Luo Haochen. What to do? Su Luo's heart was really anxious. She lowered her hands out of habit and found that she was still holding a bunch of frost grass in her hand. Suddenly, a bright idea flashed through Su Luo's mind. This flash of light was astonishingly fast, lasting for just a moment. But this time, Su Luo's luck was very good. She directly grabbed hold of it. These frost grass. Su Luo still remembered, near the end of the 4th challenge, that face had said. He said, "Take your frost grass and follow me to the 5th challenge." The task for the 4th challenge was to gather frost grass. Then, why didn't that face take away the frost grass, but instead told them to take it to the 5th challenge? There really wasn't a little bit of connection to this? Or maybe, this frost grass was the critical point for the 5th challenge? Su Luo knew that the frost grass was a medical herb, but only knew a smattering on how to use it. Su Luo only knew that frost grass could dissipate miasma gas. As for this poisonous smoke, seeing Ziyin in such agony, Su Luo didn't have time to think more carefully. She grabbed a stalk of the frost grass and tossed it into her mouth and started to chew. She didn't have to chew for long before she clearly felt her whole body relax a lot. Originally, her mind was dizzy. Her whole body was parched and burning up. Her blood was boiling. Now, all of these painful symptoms disappeared one by one. Su Luo had already proved that the material frost grass from the 4th challenge's task was precisely what was needed to disperse the poisonous smoke in the 5th challenge. The designer of these hurdles was definitely original. These tasks were closely connected to each other. Nangong Luyun, all along, had taken notice of Su Luo's every action. Seeing her personally test the medicine, he didn't stop her, because with his intelligence, he had already guessed that the frost grass could eliminate this challenge's poisonous smoke. At the same time, Luo Haochen also noticed Su Luo's actions. He had no time to think. He grabbed a handful of frost grass and stuffed it in his mouth like a hungry wolf. Under his lead, everybody impatiently grabbed a handful of frost grass and tossed it into their mouths. Su Luo saw this and couldn't help but shake her head secretly. Based on the master of the 9 different palace halls' temperament of watching them as if watching a play, these frost grass could not be so simple. Now, Luo Haochen and the others were chewing on the frost grass like starving wolves, wasting it. Don't know what would follow this. After a stick of incense time, everybody had been restored to their healthy state. Ziyin, with her lingering fear, followed closely behind Su Luo. This time, if it wasn't for Su Luo being smart, moreover, bravely trying the medicine, the consequences was really hard to imagine. Su Luo's body was seriously injured, and she still personally tested the medicine. This made Ziyin feel very apologetic. There isn't much time, we must hurry. Nangong Luyun lifted up Su Luo, immediately turning to enter the dense forest. The vulture eggs were not that easy to find. Luck was very important. We also will go to and search. Luo Haochen pulled at Luo Die and rushed into the forest at flying speed. Although they had won the first challenge, the Luo siblings had repeatedly suffered defeat in the next several challenges. This made Luo Haochen, who had just tasted the sweetness of victory, feel very much not reconciled. Also, after seeing Su Luo getting all those high-quality rewards again and again, Luo Haochen was even more jealous. So this time, he had firmly decided that he must get number 1. A band of 8 people, 4 teams, very quickly, entered the vast virgin tropical rainforest that didn't seem to have a boundary, just like a few pieces of small stones thrown into the ocean that didn't even cause a ripple on its surface. Chapter 1096, the 5th challenge, 6, vulture eggs. How does one go about finding them? With regards to other people, naturally, it would depend on them to personally rush about in every direction and try their luck. However, with regards to Su Luo, she completely did not need to do so. Why? Because she had 2 little spirit pets that loved to eat. This virgin tropical rainforest was like a host to the 2 spirit pets. Without Su Luo having to tell them, the 2 little things, with jolting buttocks, had run far away. They didn't even leave a shadow behind. The forest was densely covered with miasma. But for these 2 little spirit pets, it seemed to have no effect on them at all. Although Su Luo had the 2 spirit pets help on her side, but the situation on this road kept changing, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. More often, the 2 little spirit pets, whose acute sense of smell were equally matched, would find a vulture egg at the same time. With a cry of a woo, they would rush up to it. The 2 little spirit pets, both of which had speed as their forte, fast as a bullet, shot towards that towering vulture nest. Vultures were classified as a flying-type magical beast. Therefore, their nests were often built extremely high up. An ordinary magical beast simply had no way to enter the nest. Of course, that went only for ordinary magical beasts. As for the little divine dragon and the 9-tailed spirit fox's kind of high-leveled magical beasts, this little bit of height, they could completely ignore and disregard. The 2 little spirit pets, embodying monkeys, moved quickly up the tree. Seeing that the little divine dragon was about to seize the vulture egg, the little 9-tailed spirit fox coldly snorted. Then, she extended a paw to directly poke the little divine dragon's forehead. Awoo, why did you poke me? The little divine dragon was not amused. Howlwoo, why didn't you change into a little lamb? The little spirit fox was not happy. Awoo was stupid. I'm a dragon, king of the dragon race. Definitely not a sheep. The little divine dragon raised his chin in a prideful manner and, in passing, even gave the little spirit fox a shove. The little 9-tailed spirit fox almost fell off the tree from that shove. As a result, Our little spirit fox suddenly became furious. Howlwoo, Howlwoo, you are merely a stupid dragon tossed out by the dragon race. Sniveling dragon. Useless dragon. The two little guys that were inarticulate, the more they argued, the angrier they got. Afterwards, the two little guys also forgot about the vulture eggs up above. Just these two, one moment an Owuruwu, another moment a Howlwoo, Howlwoo, arguing without understanding each other, being incessantly noisy. These two looked like a boy and girl that found each other objectionable, quarreling in kindergarten. Su Luo elegantly held her forehead. Suddenly, her mind felt extremely painful, as if her brain had become huge. She speechlessly gave a cough, with a wave of her hand. The huge, leafy vines of the spirit-gathering tree shot out. Very quickly, it picked up that vulture egg that had been forgotten by the two spirit pets and returned with it. Right now, Su Luo's body wasn't well. Naturally, she made use of the resources on hand. Suddenly, Su Luo felt that the surrounding atmosphere was somewhat fishy. That familiar nauseating and about-to-vomit feeling once again started to attack her chest. Su Luo's face turned into frost. With a gaze seeking confirmation, she looked towards Nangong Luyun. Nangong Luyun nodded slightly. Looks like the effect of one stalk of frost grass only lasts for 15 minutes. Su Luo, without further ado, took one stalk of frost grass and tossed it in her mouth. So, it turned out that the secret of the frost grass was here. This time, Su Luo very much rejoiced that they had picked 100 stalks of frost grass in the previous challenge. One stalk of frost grass could help one person hold on for 15 minutes. 1 hour is 4 segments of 15 minutes, so, that was to say, one person needed 4 stalks of frost grass for 1 hour. In other words, if nothing unexpected happened, Nangong Luyun and her, the two of them, depending on the frost grass they had in hand, they could stay in this virgin tropical rainforest for 25 hours. Chapter 1097. The fifth challenge, 7. Of course, this was under the most perfect circumstances. Take the vulture eggs back, after hatching, then it can be used to form an aerial fleet. Nangong Luyun's tone was level. So, we need to do the utmost to get as many as possible. Such a great opportunity only comes once. It would be a pity not to make use of it. Yes. Su Luo nodded her head. Although that face didn't clearly say it, but it could be seen that the master of 9 different palace halls didn't consider these things to be valuable. They could take away the frost grass, then, these vulture eggs, too, could be brought back. In the eyes of the master of 9 different palace hall, vulture eggs were useless, but taken back to the outside world, it was a priceless treasure. To form an aerial fleet? The more Su Luo thought about it, the better it sounded. Nangong Luyun eventually would leave Eastern Ling Kingdom. If the country had such an aerial fleet protecting it, he could leave with a peace of mind. Su Luo remembered all the sacrifices Nangong Luyun had made for her. Now, it was rare to encounter things he cared about, so Su Luo naturally would help him with all her strength. This is just the first vulture egg. We have the most frost grass. Now, we occupy the best conditions. There's no reason we should lose. Now, we should hurry and look for more vulture eggs. Su Luo looked at Nangong Luyun seriously. Nangong Luyun nodded his head. With support from his hand, Su Luo once again landed on his back. She smiled and said, "Let's go." Time passed in seconds and minutes. Having the least amount of frost grass, and at the same time wasting a lot in the beginning, the Luo siblings were the first to be defeated. There were indeed many vulture eggs in the virgin tropical rainforest. The Luo siblings stuffed 4 vulture eggs in their arms and quickly left. A very strange matter was that, after they gave up on searching, that strange miasma didn't have any effect on them anymore. Following closely, Beichening and Zi Yin had 6 vulture eggs in their arms and also gave up behind them. Now, apart from Nangong Luyun and Su Luo, there was still Li Yaoyao's group, searching with great effort in the virgin tropical rainforest. In comparison, Li Yaoyao still had a lot of frost grass in her hand. If 2 people were to use it, there still would be enough for more than 9 hours. Second senior brother, this time, you must help me. Li Yaoyao pulled at Situ Ming's hand. pouting her little mouth and saying this, looking pitiful. Situ Ming secretly sighed and remained silent. Second senior brother, just consider this Yao Yao begging you. Okay? This time, Li Yao Yao repeatedly begged. Situ Ming showed signs of reluctance. In fact, he really had a method to find the vulture eggs very quickly, but it could damage his cultivation, even shorten his lifespan. Situ Ming's eyes were calm as water and as deep as a bottomless pool, looking at Li Yao Yao determinedly and seriously. Second senior brother, you had said before, no matter what I wanted in this world, you would spare no effort to help me accomplish my desires. Now, I want this time's victory. Help me once again, okay? Li Yao Yao's eyes were shining like starlight, pure like a white lotus. Situ Ming took a deep breath. Finally, he still nodded his head. Okay, Yao Yao, what you said was correct. No matter what you want, second senior brother will spare no effort to help you achieve your wish, even if he had to sell his soul to the devil. After Situ Ming promised, his fingers sliced by. Immediately, a deep cut appeared in the center of his palm. Fresh blood immediately rushed out, splashing Li Yao Yao in the face. Situ Ming drew in the empty air, dot after dot, line after line. One after another, complicated inscriptions were carved in mid-air. Fresh blood flowed bit by bit. Very quickly, the ground was spotted with blood stains. Chapter 1098, The Fifth Challenge, 8. Li Yao Yao quietly retreated a step back. However, at this moment, her eyes were twinkling with lights of excitement. Blood sacrifice. Second senior brother was using blood sacrifice to temporarily borrow spirit knowledge from the master of dark magic. Very quickly, they would be able to easily find the vulture eggs. Su Luo. This time, you will lose for sure. Li Yao Yao's eyes flickered with maliciousness and a self-satisfied light. She completely didn't notice that Situ Ming's figure was staggering from having lost too much blood. Even if she had noticed it, she still would pretend that she didn't see it. Even if second senior brother paid with his life for her, that was because he would gladly endure the hardship. What was there that she needed to care about? Yao Yao, let's go. Situ Ming, with great difficulty, squeezed out a smile on his pale face. Oh, second senior brother, are you okay? Li Yao Yao asked offhandedly. However, Situ Ming's eyes brightened because of her deeply concerned manner. I'm totally fine. I will recover very quickly, don't worry. Situ Ming smiled with eyes bent like half moons. When the time comes, even if it's to use blood sacrifice again, I can also do it. Then things just can't be better. Li Yao Yao immediately was all smiles. But she didn't notice in the slightest that Situ Ming's body stiffened at this sentence of hers. Turning his body around at an angle Li Yao Yao couldn't see, Situ Ming slowly exhaled a coarse breath. A bitter smile appeared in his eyes. For her, was it really worth it? Recalling when she first got to Purgatory City, that extremely adorable little girl with two small ponytails and her little head tilted to the side, such a small height, gradually transformed into a slender, elegant fairy with exceedingly good temperament. Second senior brother, hurry up and let's go. What are you thinking about? Li Yao Yao opened her eyes widely and blinked a few times. It made her seem even more innocent and adorable. Worth it. For this lady in front of his eyes, even if he was to die immediately, that would still be worth it. Situ Ming smiled faintly, carrying Li Yao Yao. He flitted forward with flying speed. The him right now seemed to have a new kind of skill. His nose was sensitive to the degree that it stupefied people. In the process of flitting by, suddenly, his body stopped. Then, he took Li Yao Yao and jumped up the tree trunk. Wah! Such a huge vulture egg. Li Yao Yao was pleasantly surprised and continuously beamed with joy. Situ Ming looked at her smiling pair of beautiful eyes bent in an arc, and the melancholy in his heart was swept clean. Suddenly, his heroism seemed to reach the sky. It's nothing. There's more following this one. The follow-up was definitely as Situ Ming had said. He could smell the vulture eggs from several hundred meters away. He flew up the trees and found an egg every time. The vulture egg was not big, but it wasn't small either. Somewhat bigger than a goose egg, but smaller than a grapefruit, somewhere in between the two. They searched this whole journey. The eggs on their path could not escape this calamity and were collected until nothing was left. There were very few vulture eggs. Every 10 years, the adult vulture couples could give birth to one egg. But they were no match for Situ Ming's nose that was more keen than a dog's. After this journey, Li Yaoyao's arms were so full that she nearly couldn't hold more. Finally, Situ Ming took off his outer robe, made a makeshift bag out of it, and let Li Yaoyao carry it on her back. Second senior brother, you're too awesome. So great. Li Yaoyao excitedly praised in a loud voice. Situ Ming's whole heart enjoyed the praises. He smiled from ear to ear, in an excellent mood. It merely comes from using blood sacrifice, not worth mentioning it. Situ Ming pretended to be modest. Regardless of whether it came from blood sacrifice or not, second senior brother is so awesome. This time, we will win for sure. Li Yaoyao waved her fist in the air. Chapter 1099. The fifth challenge, 9. Li Yaoyao was dead set on winning against Su Luo. Time gradually passed. In the end, Li Yaoyao could not put any more vulture eggs into her makeshift bag. Seriously speaking, the vulture eggs still took up a lot of space. It would be great if we also had a space bag. Li Yaoyao recalled Nangong Liuyun's space bag, and she couldn't help but be extremely envious. I think that Su Luo also has one. Situ Ming's eyes flashed slightly. What? Su Luo, that little slut, also has a space bag? Li Yaoyao's heart immediately felt uneven. It should have been given to her by Nangong. Otherwise, with her strength, it is impossible for her to obtain it. Situ Ming nodded his head with certainty. However, when he was speaking, his gaze stared fixedly on Li Yaoyao, paying close attention to the expression on her face. Nangong clearly didn't like Li Yaoyao. Because of these circumstances, Situ Ming decided not to give up on her. What he needed to do now was to scoop out Nangong from Li Yaoyao's heart bit by bit, to scratch it clean. Afterwards, he would avail himself of the void to enter. Su Luo, this vixen, don't know how, but she got third senior brother bewitched and going around in circles. He even gave her such a precious space bag. She, as the majestic princess of the Jade Lakesley family, didn't even have a space bag. Why should Su Luo, that little slut, have one? Li Yaoyao was nearly mad from jealousy. If she knew what Su Luo had wasn't a space bag, but rather an entire space, don't know if Li Yaoyao would pass away on the spot from jealousy. Without a space bag, Li Yaoyao and Situ Ming could only take as many vulture eggs as they could carry in their arms and on their back, before withdrawing using their original route. They had already used up their frost grass. If they didn't leave now, they would be poisoned again. The last to withdraw was Su Luo and Nangong Luyun. Su Luo saw the pile of vulture eggs by Li Yaoyao's feet, and her eyes blinked slightly from surprise. Li Yaoyao saw Su Luo's astonishment. Her feeling of being proud of herself became clearer and clearer in her eyes. This time, Su Luo, that little slut, lost for sure. Just at this moment, space twisted, and that enormous face appeared in midair. One of the teams among you actually completed the task better. Above the quota. Not bad, not bad. Li Yaoyao lifted an eyebrow, being proud of herself. The team that completed the task above the quota was definitely them. Method of blood sacrifice is the same as self-mutilation. To treat oneself so cruelly, however, I like it. Ha ha ha, this face that was in midair burst out in mad laughter. The space around them went through a period of turmoil. Momentarily, the earth quaked and the mountains shook, with crashing sounds echoing. With great difficulty, he stopped laughing. Come, turn in the goods from this task. Let this master of the palace have a look to see who won this time. Vulture eggs were easy to count. You could do it at a glance. Luo siblings only had 3. Beichen Ing and Zi Yin only had 6. In this challenge, The most important was to look at Li Yaoyao's and Su Luo's teams for the winner. The winner would emerge among these two teams. Seeing those two huge bags next to Li Yaoyao, Su Luo's heart also felt unsure. But the matter was already at this point. There was no way to change it. Who told Li Yaoyao to have Situ Ming at her side? Who didn't hesitate to use his life to pay for it all? Su Luo waved her hand, and the vulture eggs she collected piled up neatly on the ground in front of her. These vulture eggs, every one of them was sparkling, translucent, and pure. On them were faint spiritual energy flowing all over. If you looked carefully, you would discover that the vulture eggs that had stayed in her space were a bit whiter than others not from her space. However, nobody was aware of this minute detail. 50 vulture eggs. Ziyin cried out in surprise. With this comparison, Ziyin immediately felt like crying. Her team only had 6 only 6 Chapter 1100. The fifth challenge, 10. How many do you have? Ziyin impatiently asked Li Yaoyao. Li Yaoyao's mouth pulled up into a sneer. What? You want to know? Could it be that you want to keep it covered up? Ziyin's mouth twitched in displeasure. There's no harm in letting you see it, Li Yaoyao said exceptionally proudly. She untied the clothing of the makeshift bag, and many vulture eggs were stacked neatly in a pile. With a visual estimate, the quantity was not low. 51. Ziyin counted and stared at Li Yaoyao with a not-so-good expression. Li Yaoyao raised her chin proudly. Of course it's 51 eggs. What's the problem? What's the problem? This problem was huge. Su Luo's team only had 50. Okay. Ziyin sent a cold glare at Li Yaoyao, turned her head around, and then walked back. She was fine with losing to anybody else, but she just couldn't swallow losing to Li Yaoyao. Bei Qining cast a thoughtful glance at Situ Ming, his mouth curling into a taunting and derisive sneer. Now, the scores for this challenge had also come out. Don't know how the 9 different palace halls master had calculated it. The final result was Luo siblings team, 30 points, Ziyin's team, 40 points, Su Luo's team, 70 points, Li Yaoyao's team, 71 point. The final result was still Li Yaoyao's team being victorious. Su Luo, you lost. Li Yaoyao strutted around to walk to in front of Su Luo, with her head raised proudly, casting sideway glances at her. Su Luo was unconcerned. She smiled contentedly. Then indeed, congratulations. Li Yaoyao contemptuously looked askance at her. Your heart must be very unsatisfied, right? But seeing you unhappy makes me feel especially at ease. Su Luo's face was indifferent, as she smiled faintly. Li Yaoyao, do you really feel so at ease? What do you mean? If you have the ability, then say it again. Li Yaoyao's long, shapely eyebrows nodded, her eyes round from glowering. How could Su Luo be frightened by her threat? She smiled coldly. Li Yaoyao. Somebody used the blood sacrifice at the cost of his life. A victory from such a method. You really feel this at ease? So justified and righteous? I don't understand what nonsense you are saying. Li Yaoyao's face was scary. She heavily snorted and turned her body around. This was said by the master of the 9 different palace halls. Are you denouncing the master of the 9 different palace halls for saying nonsense? Su Luo smiled from beginning to the end with a perfectly composed appearance. This accusation was really too heavy. Now, everybody was still trying to muddle along in the 9 different palace halls. The master of this 9 different palace halls had that kind of temperamental and eccentric persona. Who dared to offend him? Li Yaoyao was immediately somewhat alarmed. I didn't say it like that. Yes, you didn't say it like that. You just did it this way and nothing more. Su Luo lazily leaned against Nangong Liuyun's body, in a manner of being too lazy to argue with her. Li Yaoyao was immediately choked off. In midair, that face stayed apathetic. Before, I forgot to say, but you guys can take these vulture eggs back with you? What? We can take them away? Ziyin exclaimed in surprise. These were vulture eggs, ah. After they hatched, they were all flying-type magical beasts, ah. Usually, on the outside, it was hard to even come across one. Now, They actually could bring them all back? Ziyin thought miserably. If time could let her start over, she would certainly gather enough frost grass in the 4th challenge. Afterwards, she would look for many more vulture eggs in the 5th challenge. However, now, it was too late to regret it. Su Luo and Nangong Luyuan exchanged a glance, a shallow smile floating in their eyes. They had already guessed it would be this way. So, along the way, they had spent all their energy looking for them. Among them, the happiest person was none other than Li Yaoyao. Chapter 11:01 Special Reward 1. Because this time, Li Yaoyao got 51 vulture eggs. If she took these out, then the power of Jade Lakesley family would absolutely jump up a notch. Li Yaoyao elatedly looked at those vulture eggs with a tender gaze, as if looking at her own kids. Not only that, because she won this challenge, the reward for this challenge was still waiting for her. In the 2 previous challenges, Su Luo got some good rewards, and Li Yaoyao felt that hers couldn't be worse. Because Su Luo took the rewards for the 3rd and 4th challenges, now, she won the 5th challenge. According to convention, naturally, the later it was, the richer the rewards. Li Yaoyao, just like this, fell into her own happy fantasy. Very quickly, 2 bands of light brought them their rewards. A bright red silk cloth covered a tray, in the end. What was underneath the silk? Not only Li Yaoyao was curious, but everybody else was curious too. The little divine dragon watched those 2 bands of light. His eyes momentarily brightened. However, it was only for a split second. Then his little head drooped down, showing no interest whatsoever in it. Su Luo already had some certainty in her heart. Seeing Li Yaoyao's excitement that was hardly kept in check, the corners of Su Luo's mouth curled up. She used the gaze of watching a play to look at Li Yaoyao with a ghost of a smile. Now, Li Yaoyao could barely contain her excitement. She lifted that red silk cloth up with her finger. In shock, on that tray, laid a gorgeous light pink, wide-sleeved, fairy-style dress. Li Yaoyao's smile immediately went rigid at the corner of her mouth. However, this suit of wide-sleeved fairy dress was definitely not a regular wide-sleeved fairy dress. How could the master of the 9 different palace halls take a normal dress and give it to her as a reward? Li Yaoyao shook her head, expressing her disbelief. But, as soon as Li Yaoyao touched the fabric of the wide-sleeved fairy dress, her heart continuously sank down. Because, by the weight of the wide-sleeved fairy dress in her hand, she was able to determine that it was exactly the same as the dresses she normally wore. Li Yaoyao was still not reconciled. She lifted the wide-sleeved fairy dress up and carefully examined it up and down, even checking it inch by inch where was the mysterious mechanism of the garment. This was simply a regular wide-sleeved fairy dress. Li Yaoyao's complexion paled on the spot. She threw down the dress in her hand and snatched the tray that belonged to Situ Ming. In the tray was a set of excellently tailored robe that shocked her. Li Yaoyao was so furious that she almost vomited out a mouthful of blood. She raised her head to look towards the sky, took a deep breath, and did her best to restrain the fury in her throat. "May I ask, distinguished sir, when all is said and done, what is this?" Li Yaoyao pointed at those 2 sets of clothing. Why did Su Luo's side gets rewards like plant essence and fire sourcestone essence? But she, Li Yaoyao, only get these 2 sets of regular clothing? In mid-air, that enormous face laughed, his eyes carrying a trace of ridicule. What kind of reward? All depends on this master of Palace Hall's mood. Who told this master of the Palace Hall's mood to not be very good? Li Yaoyao grit her teeth in fury. This is not fair. She only wanted it to be fair. She only wanted the exact same treatment that Su Luo got. Why was it impossible? That enormous face rolled his eyes. Fairness? What kind of thing is that? Does the 9 different palace halls have it? Li Yaoyao covered her chest. She felt that if she continued to argue with this master of the palace halls, she would be infuriated to death. That enormous face laughed mockingly. What kind of person deserves what kind of reward? This master of the palace halls is very clear. Finishing speaking, this deity then disappeared. However, that sentence he left behind was already enough to anger Li Yaoyao to swooning. What kind of person deserves what kind of reward? What kind of person deserves what kind of reward? Chapter 1102, Special Reward 2. Could the master of the 9 different palace halls' meaning be that Su Luo deserved to get all the good stuff and she, Li Yaoyao, could only get 2 sets of regular clothing? Li Yaoyao was so mad that she stamped her feet. She wanted to directly rip that light pink wide-sleeved fairy dress in half. But Situ Ming's eyes were as fast as his hands and stopped her from doing so. Yaoyao, now is not the time to throw a fit. Situ Ming consoled her gently. We're stranded in the middle of nowhere. It's difficult to even buy a dress. You change into this dress first. In truth, Li Yaoyao's dress was already damaged before, at the gate of Xian's Wood residence, where they fought with the snow lions. Now, having rushed through 5 challenges in a row in the 9 different palace halls, it was unavoidable that the clothes got damaged. The dress Li Yaoyao had on now was already tattered and worn out. Moreover, it was splattered with blood, making her look extremely disheveled. Li Yaoyao originally wanted to heartlessly rip apart this wide-sleeved fairy dress, but circumstances were stronger than the person. In the end, she had no choice but to put this dress over her old one while feeling aggrieved. At this moment, Xian couldn't keep it in anymore. She clutched her belly and started to laugh her head off. Li Yaoyao, ha ha ha, you tell me, you lost face or not? Let second senior brother pay by using blood sacrifice to win. You actually only got a dress? Ha ha ha. Xian laughed like a blooming flower trembling in chaos, with non-stop howls of laughter. With her laugh, the anxious atmosphere from before was swiped clean. Everybody followed and started to laugh. Even the Luo siblings in Li Yaoyao's faction also showed a knowing smile. For them, no matter who got the reward, they would still be very jealous and envious. The reward they got from before, although it wasn't as precious as the one Su Luo received, but still, it cured their injuries. Compared to Li Yaoyao's, they were much luckier. As a result, the Luo siblings exchanged a glance and saw the smiles in each other's eyes. Li Yaoyao's complexion was ashen. Both eyes were scarlet red, ignited with raging flames. What made it worse was that she couldn't do anything about it, because the person that caused Li Yaoyao to be in this situation was the master of the 9 different palace halls. Don't even mention anything about her. Li Yaoyao, retaliating, she didn't even dare to curse him. She could only sulk and endure it. Burst after burst of ear-piercing, irritating laughter sounded next to her ear. Li Yaoyao's fists at her side made crackling noises. In this way, Li Yaoyao wished she didn't get the rewards for this challenge. Yaoyao. Situ Ming looked at her, deeply concerned. He was really worried about her, so he stretched his hand out wanting to put it on her slender shoulders. But Li Yaoyao furiously brushed him aside with all her strength while her eyes were full of blame. It's better if second senior brother hadn't used the blood sacrifice. After second senior brother used the blood sacrifice, she sank into being endlessly taunted. It really was the more she thought about it, the more she felt it wasn't worth it. Li Yaoyao said it very directly. Because she had always acted like a spoiled child or demanded things from second senior brother, she had never been polite about it. When she returned from her thoughts, she saw Situ Ming's pale face. There was also the stunned expression in everyone's eyes. Li Yaoyao pursed her lower lip, but didn't apologize, because she was too proud to lose face. Situ Ming laughed a few times. Li Yaoyao's heart feels unwell. After venting, it will be fine. After all, whoever received this kind of reward, their heart might also not feel comfortable. Miss Su, wouldn't you say so? Situ Ming directed the last sentence to Su Luo. Su Luo smiled faintly. What kind of person gets what kind of reward? The master of the 9 different palace halls is very wise. In any case, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable. This one sentence choked Situ Ming until he almost collapsed. Chapter 1103, Special Reward 3. They finally passed the 5th challenge safely. Everyone let out a breath of relief. Following was the legendary 6th challenge. Everybody waited and waited, and that face didn't appear again. Hey, where's the master of the 9 different palace halls? Why didn't he take us to the 6th challenge? Ziyin asked impatiently. Bei Qingying shrugged his shoulders. How would he know? Su Luo's gaze looked towards the sky, pensively saying, could it be that we have to find the passageway to this challenge by ourselves? This master of the 9 different palace halls liked to be fickle. His temperament was unstable. It all depended on his mood at the time. Casting them aside here, he was very much capable of doing something like this based on his temperament. Ziyin glared towards Li Yaoyao in annoyance. It's all your fault. If you hadn't pissed off the master of the 9 different palace halls, we wouldn't have been cast aside and left here now. Li Yaoyao shot back sarcastically. I wanted to deliberately piss off the master of the 9 different palace halls. I deliberately don't want you guys to go on. So what? You get angry, ah? The angrier you are, the happier I am. Li Yaoyao, do you even have a little bit of shame? You take a look at your current appearance, a person that doesn't look human, a ghost that doesn't look like a ghost. Seeing you is really nauseating. Ziyin repeatedly sneered. Such critical words, before, nobody had ever dared to say it to Li Yaoyao's face. Li Yaoyao was infuriated until her chest moved up and down violently. She had always bragged about being exceedingly refined and above the common people. Now, she was insulted like this by Ziyin. How could she swallow this? In any case, the person looking for the Scarlet Blood Ningpo figward is not me. If we don't go up, then we don't go up. It's better this way. Li Yaoyao straightforwardly sat on the ground and crossed her legs, refusing to go on. Ziyin was immediately dumbfounded by Li Yaoyao's provocation. She had calculated thousands, no, 10,000 times, and didn't predict that this Jade Lake's fairy would act so peevishly and shamelessly. You! Ziyin glared at her, turned around and walked to Su Luo's side. She looked at Su Luo somewhat apologetically, because it seemed as if she had ruined things. Su Luo laughed lightly. 9 different palace halls, death grade. If we don't pass the last challenge in the end, we'll all die. No one will escape. Having heard that, Li Yaoyao's rage-filled eyes immediately glared over. Death grade? Who asked you guys to choose the death grade? Did you ever ask for our opinion? This anger, Li Yaoyao had already held in for a long time. As everyone knew, every step was a crisis in this death grade, surrounded by dangers all around. Surveying the entire world, how many years had it been that there weren't people that chose the death grade? Nangong Liuyun's deep, black eyes were cold as ice. He wrapped his arms around Su Luo's shoulder in a pampering and spoiling manner. A cold light floated in his pitch-black eyes, piercing towards Li Yaoyao like a sharp sword. His red lips opened slightly, his voice apathetic, cold and thin. You have an objection? For short words, made people feel like they had been thrown into an icehouse containing a bitingly cold wind. Li Yaoyao naturally had an objection, moreover, it was a huge objection. Not only did Li Yaoyao have an objection, Luo Haochen and the others, which one of them didn't have an objection? However, meeting Nangong Liuyun's pair of frosty cold eyes, everybody opened their mouths, but not a word came out. That pair of eyes made a cold chill run down their backs, giving birth to fear in their hearts. Nangong Liuyun's gaze swept past. The people that met his gaze, in the next instant, subconsciously turned their eyes away. No one dared to meet his gaze, including Li Yaoyao. Nangong Liuyun's red lips hooked up into a shallow cold sneer. No objections, then shut up. It was quiet all around. Now, Nangong Liuyun looked like an emperor that controlled heaven and earth, standing there as the head of a mighty military force. He was the rule. People who disobey, kill without pardon. Now, split up into 4 teams to look for the exit path. Nangong Liuyun coldly tossed this sentence behind, holding Su Luo to him, taking the lead to depart first. The remaining people glanced at each other in dismay. Chapter 1104. Special reward 4. Zi Yin and Bai Qining exchanged a glance, laughed, and left together. Li Yaoyao stomped her feet in fury. Clearly, she was dragged in. Okay? She wasn't willing to help her mortal enemy search for strange medicine. Okay? It was already like this. She couldn't even speak a sentence of complaint. Li Yaoyao felt extremely sulky. However, the matter that made her feel most sulky was that she still had to follow Nangong Liuyun's orders and go search for the exit path. But if they didn't go up to the next level, when the time limit ends, everyone would die, including her, Li Yaoyao. No matter how unwilling, she still need to obediently do things according to Nangong Liuyun's orders. They searched for a long time, and found? Su Luo's little divine dragon was already waiting at the exit gate for them since earlier. Su Luo's forehead wrinkled slightly. With one grab, she lifted the little divine dragon and stuffed him into her space, then acting as if nothing happened, followed everybody to go up into the passageway to enter the 6th layer of space. To say it was a pathway, in fact, it was a space array. From the 5th layer of the virgin tropical rainforest, then transferred to the next region. But they ran into some problems during the transfer. The problem was the vulture eggs Li Yaoyao carried on her back. 51 vulture eggs, divided into 2 large bags, each carried by Li Yaoyao and Situ Ming on their backs. However, everybody knew that vulture eggs were fragile, and when teleporting through space, it was very unstable to begin with. Coming out from the space array, nobody knew how many of the vulture eggs would remain intact. Moreover, they still had 4 challenges up ahead to break through. It was likely that there would be a lot more fighting. The vulture eggs absolutely would be a burden. What to do? Li Yaoyao looked towards Nangong Luyun, discovered that both of his hands were empty. Then looked towards Su Luo, discovered that both of her hands were empty too. Even Bai Qining and Zi Yan's 3 vulture eggs each were nowhere to be seen. Third senior brother must have put them in his space, for sure. Realizing this, Li Yaoyao's heart became fervent. Third senior brother. Before stepping foot into the teleportation array, Li Yaoyao hesitantly opened her mouth, calling for Nangong Luyun to halt. Nangong Luyun's footsteps paused. Li Yaoyao's heart turned joyful and she hurriedly said, "Third senior brother, is it possible to help us with an issue?" Nangong Luyun's sharp eyebrows nodded tightly, and he looked at her with ill will. Li Yaoyao was already used to his cold treatment. She didn't have hope that he would be a bit more enthusiastic. "Third senior brother, can you help me bring these vulture eggs over and return them to me when we leave the 9 different palace halls?" Li Yaoyao pointed to the huge bag in her arms. To Nangong Luyun, who had a space bag, this was merely a matter of waving his hand. However, if he helped Li Yaoyao this time, there's no guarantee this wouldn't lead to her having a misconception. Then, she would want a mile since he gave an inch. Also, with his family's treasured Su Luo having Li Yaoyao as an opponent, she's lucky that he didn't hit her while she was down. Why should he help her out? Nangong Luyun was just about to refuse when he saw Su Luo pull on his sleeve. "Your space is only 1 square meter. Do you still have free space?" Su Luo pretended to be concerned. How intelligent was Nangong Luyun? With one meaningful glance from Su Luo, he understood. His family's treasured Luo Luo was about to cheat people. Wife wanted to cheat people, as her man. He naturally would lift both hands and legs in endorsement. Nangong, the cold indifferent His Highness Prince Jean, pretended to be embarrassed and frowned. "There's space left, barely enough to fit a little bit more. But there are still going to be rewards in the challenges after this. You're certain it will fit?" Su Luo laid the ground for cheating people. "What you said is also true, then I won't." Nangong Luyun seemed to have made a decision. "Su Luo, you give me to shut up." Li Yaoyao originally saw that the situation was good, but with Su Luo butting into this matter, it was about to fall through. She couldn't help but be very anxious. Chapter 1105. Special Reward 5. Why are you being so fierce with my family's Luo Luo? I didn't say I wouldn't bring it for you. Nangong Luyun shielded Su Luo, intimately hugging her to him. He lifted up his eyes to look at Li Yaoyao with a menacing gaze that was ready to kill. Li Yaoyao was stunned. When a man became partial, he would become so unreasonable. Simply like a fool. He's being led by the nose by Su Luo, that slut. In fact, why didn't Li Yaoyao think about it? Wasn't her second senior brother being led by the nose by her? Third senior brother? Then, you say, what should be done? Li Yaoyao had no choice but to lower her arrogance. These vulture eggs, the vultures that hatched from them, could form an aerial fleet. If the ancestor knew, he would happily accept them. At that time, she would have a stake for being in charge of the Jade Lake's palace. Nangong Luyun said a faint sentence. Pay the deposit fee? This was what his Luo Luo said close to his ear. So it turned out to be paying a deposit fee, ah? Li Yaoyao immediately heaved a sigh of relief. She thought it was going to be more difficult. Deposit fee, it's not a problem at all. Li Yaoyao revealed a relieved smile. Nangong Luyun glanced at her in a ridiculing manner and lifted up an eyebrow slightly. It's too early for you to be happy, because that so-called deposit fee would definitely make Li Yaoyao spit out blood. Since his Luo Luo wanted to cheat people, she definitely wouldn't be merciful and soft-hearted. Third senior brother, you say it? How much is the deposit fee? Li Yaoyao asked with a relaxed smile. It was merely a deposit fee. How high could it be? 10% should be enough, right? The mentally prepared Li Yaoyao wasn't a bit worried. Nangong Luyun, in a loving manner, pinched Su Luo's cute, beautiful and jade-like nose. How much Luo girl says to collect, then that's how much. Su Luo glared at him unhappily. In front of everybody, was it manly for him to act so intimate? Didn't he see that combustible flame in Li Yaoyao's pair of eyes? Su Luo coughed lightly and said seriously, after all, she is your junior sister. Asking for too much is not good. Then just collect something symbolically. Who knew that Li Yaoyao didn't accept Su Luo's charity? Who wants your so-called something symbolic? How much ought to be collected? Then collect that amount. According to Li Yaoyao's temperament, she would definitely not deposit it with someone else. But these vulture eggs were a really important matter. She couldn't help but to keep her tone polite. However, this arrogance that came from her body now hurt her. Su Luo was all smiles as she raised an eyebrow. You're sure you don't need a discount? Of course I don't need it. How could Li Yaoyao owe a favor to someone? Let alone when the other side was Su Luo, her rival in love. Then fine. Since Miss Li absolutely insists, then it can only be like this. Chapter 1106, The Sixth Challenge, Rat Tide 1. Once these words were said, it immediately stifled half of the sentences left in Li Yaoyao's mouth. She could no longer say another word. If she continued to say another 10%, then she would no longer be noble, elegant, and have integrity. Su Luo, you are good. You are really good. Li Yaoyao's pair of eyes that glared intently at Su Luo practically were about to shoot out flames. Fairly, if these vulture eggs aren't placed in space, they would be shattered into pieces, ah? Su Luo pointed to that space bag, smiling in a mocking manner. At this moment, arranged in front of Li Yaoyao was only this road. Li Yaoyao's eyes hang down as she muttered to herself. 50% really hurt to the flesh, but second senior brother's portion. As long as she acted spoiled and pitiful, then she could get a hold of his portion easily. Calculated this way, was also reluctantly okay. Su Luo, you win. Li Yaoyao gnashed her teeth and very fiercely glared at Su Luo. Su Luo's face was full of smiles. No better or worse than you. She didn't use force, it was voluntary on the customer's part. That's right, if the customer dies, then this property will be confiscated. Oh. Su Luo very kindly reminded Li Yaoyao with this sentence. Li Yaoyao was enraged until her face started to cramp. Su Luo, are you cursing me to die? In this death grade of the 9 different palace halls, who can guarantee themselves that they certainly can continue to live on? Su Luo was all smiles as she looked at Li Yaoyao. Okay, I really want to see in the end, will it be you or me who dies? Li Yaoyao heavily humphed. Nangong Luyun put away the vulture eggs into his space bag, and this group of people entered the teleportation portal. The sixth challenge, don't know what would be waiting for them. Inside the space array, the air scattered about and violently shook. A crackling sound came to their ears, don't know what it could be. But very soon, everyone existed out of the space teleportation array. They hadn't had time to look at their surroundings when they heard Beichening ask in a loud voice while pinching his nose. Just now, inside space teleportation array, what was that sound? It sounded like someone farted. Once he finished asking this question, everyone was aware of Luo Haochen's face that was as black as the bottom of a pot. At this moment, it seemed as if Luo Haochen's back was dyed a yellow color. After a closer look, they would find that it was the bright color of egg yolks. So, it turned out that the 3 vulture eggs on Luo Haochen's back had all cracked. Moreover, the yolks had pasted all over his back. When Li Yaoyao saw this, she couldn't help but to be very glad. Fortunately, her vulture eggs were stored in 3rd senior brother's space. If she had also foolishly carried it on her back like Luo Haochen, now none of it would have remained. Thinking up to here, Li Yaoyao, with lingering fear, took a glance at Nangong Luyun. But Nangong Liuyun's eyes, from beginning to the end, were always on Su Luo. Oh my, what a pity. If they were put into the space bag, how good would it be? Wasn't it just collecting a little deposit fee? Now look at you. It's all gone. Beichening said while clicking his tongue. Shut up. Luo Haochen, panting with rage, fiercely glared. You guys still have time to argue over this? Quickly look at the surroundings in front of you. Ziyin snappily pulled at Beichening. Now, everyone started to take notice of their surroundings. No wonder it was so hot when they just entered. So, it turned out that they had actually entered a desert. At this moment, the temperature around them was very high. An endless desert was before their eyes. Yellow specks of sand were being blown by the wind, looking like waves moving up and down. A yellow-colored ocean, not a speck of green within it. A desert. What are we doing here? Could it be another type of gathering task? Beichening alertly looked all around and asked in a low voice. Su Luo shook her head. Based on the master of the 9 different palace halls' temper, it's probably not like that. Then, in the end, what is the task? Why is it that that master of the 9 different palace halls keeps on not appearing? Ziyin wiped off the sweat on her forehead. Chapter 1107. The 6th Challenge, Rat Tide 2. The temperature here was very high. It was only for a moment, and in just a short while, everyone was drenched in sweat. Su Luo's gaze swept over Li Yaoyao shallowly, unhurriedly saying, The master of the 9 different palace halls didn't guide us in the 5th challenge. Everything was all dependent on us to find the pathway to get here. Could it be that the master of the 9 different palace halls was angered by Li Yaoyao? From now on, he will not guide us anymore? Ziyin, full of tacit understanding with Su Luo, continued to say. Su Luo merely smiled but didn't say anything. Momentarily, everyone's gaze was focused on Li Yaoyao's body. Li Yaoyao's scalp felt numb from their gazes. She pretended to be tough and stuck out her neck. Why are you guys looking at me like this? It's not my fault. If it's not your fault, then it's our fault? Ziyin coldly humphed. If it wasn't for you angering the master of the 9 different palace halls, then how could he not have appeared by now? Beichening said forcefully. Li Yaoyao, you tell me, what should we do now? Luo Die, who was in same faction as Li Yaoyao, impatiently glared at her. Luo Haochen's face was black, with a gloomy gaze. Li Yaoyao had her back straight, icily and arrogantly lifted up her chin, and said, How would I know what to do? You can go ask whoever's most powerful. Just at this moment, Nangong Liuyun's cold and detached voice sounded. Enemy attack. Get ready. He said it lightly, however. Everyone had a tense atmosphere of facing a powerful enemy. Where is the enemy attack? Beichening asked. Pay attention to the ground under your feet. Nangong Liuyun's words were concise and comprehensive. Momentarily, everyone's attention was focused on the area around their feet. Indeed, after the time it took to make small cup of tea, 1 A feeling of danger rose up in everyone's hearts. At this moment, Situ Ming used a complicated gaze to look at Nangong Luyun. Just how big a gap was it between a 10th rank and 9th rank? A teacup's time earlier, Nangong Luyun had already sensed the danger, and he only sensed it after a teacup's time. He never expected, in less than a short 2 years' time. Originally, Nangong Luyun was not as good as him, but now, he was already thrown far behind by Nangong Luyun. A kind of sad and jealous emotion intertwined to attack Situ Ming's heart. Don't want to die, then concentrate. Nangong Luyun shot a quick glance at Situ Ming and said it in an icily arrogant tone. Thanks, third junior brother, for your concern. Situ Ming felt that this third junior brother wasn't as heartless as he imagined, presumably, his regard for Yao Yao. However, Nangong Luyun's next sentence thoroughly struck a blow to his thoughts. One only saw Nangong Luyun shallowly lift an eyebrow. If you die, don't tell me you want me to take care of that terrible mess of a woman? Of course, if we were at the 9th challenge, then it's another matter altogether. Situ Ming was so angry that he almost spit out a liter of blood. So it was like this. If he died, then he had to protect Li Yao Yao till the 9th challenge. This was what he cared about the most. He did not want to protect Yao Yao. Situ Ming's fists were tightly clenched at his side, eyes red and bloodshot, as he very fiercely glared at Nangong Luyun. However, Nangong Luyun didn't have time to care about whether he was angry or not. At this time, all of his thoughts were focused on protecting Su Luo. Although Su Luo had 2 formidable spirit pets and a plant pet that had mutated twice by her side, however, better to be safe than sorry, even more protection wouldn't be enough. Just at this moment, underneath those dark golden sand dunes, suddenly, lots of small bulges appeared. Then immediately after, it quickly disappeared. Suddenly, Li Yao Yao, who was behind Situ Ming, being protected by him, burst out in loud shrieks. Ah! Don't bite my leg. Li Yao Yao was so scared that she jumped up a meter high and waved the meter-long sword in her hand. That little thing that did evil was immediately split in halves. 1. Time it takes to make small cup of tea. According to online answers, this is equivalent to 10 minutes. And a stick of incense is equivalent to 5 minutes. Luo Haochen cried out in alarm. Each of these magical beast rats, in this rat tide, was extremely vicious, with astonishingly fast speed, really wearing people out from dealing with them. At this moment, each person was surrounded by at least 100 magical beast rats. There were scratches, bites, scars, and bloodstains on their bodies. It seemed that this sudden rat tide gave them unprecedented pressure. Compared to them, Su Luo was relaxed and peaceful. Su Luo didn't need to say anything, and was placed in a protective barrier by Nangong Luyun from the beginning. He even carried her up a tree. It was simply like entering a sterile room, without any concern about her life. In addition, Nangong Luyun, from beginning to end, hadn't made a move yet. He calmly protected Su Luo at her side, his arms crossed in front of his chest. He leaned against the dried-up tree trunk and thoughtfully observed the scene. Go, Nangong Luyun waved his hand, and the little divine dragon and the little spirit fox immediately ran out like escaping from a cage, excitedly jumping towards the crowd. So, it turned out that these 2 spirit pets, since the beginning, were confined by Nangong Luyun, and only now did he release them because their skills were of use. Besides these 2 spirit pets, there was also Su Luo's plant pet spirit gathering tree. Finally, the little fox had no other choice but to agree on a deal with the little divine dragon, one being, 1 stone, and only this way was the conflict settled. The 3 spirit pets coordinated with tacit understanding, one after another, The magical beast rat leaders all fell under their collaboration. This provided everyone a great relief from the pressure. At the same time, their harvest was also not bad. Just cyan-colored crystal stones alone, they each got 7 to 8 pieces from splitting, as well as many more green-colored crystal stones. However, it was a pity that it wasn't long before nearly all the magical beasts' rat leaders were scooped up by the 3 of them in one go. When they chased and killed the last magical beast's rat leader, this pitiful rat with no way to escape repeatedly shrieked, "You guys will regret this. You guys will definitely regret this. Our Rat King will definitely avenge us." The little divine dragon became impatient from listening to it, and his paw directly slapped over. This pitiful little rat was slapped until its brains split apart. The little divine dragon conveniently grabbed that cyan-colored crystal stone. "Howlwoo, Howlwoo, give me, give me." The 9-tailed spirit fox chased behind the little divine dragon, urgently stretching her claws out. The little divine dragon looked at her and extended his claws. The 9-tailed spirit fox narrowed her eyes in a smile. At the same time, she extended her paw to meet the little divine dragon's. However, just at the moment when the 2 pair of claws were about to touch, the little divine dragon's claws slid by when they were about to crisscross. That last cyan-colored crystal stone was directly tossed into the little divine dragon's mouth. Chapter 11:10. The 6th challenge, Rat Tide, 5, Howlwoo, Howlwoo. The 9-tailed spirit fox's eyes turned red from being anxious. She grabbed the little divine dragon's claws and refused to let go. Only one more cyan-colored crystal stone. As long as she got another one, she would level up. Damn it. The little divine dragon stuck his pink tongue out at the fox, wiggling his tail. He jumped and bounced towards Suluo. The always cunning little fox got played by the little divine dragon once. Panting with rage, she chased after him. However, because of these 3 spirit pets' help, the battle situation was instantly reversed. Having lost the command and management of the magical beast rat leaders, these regular black-furred magical beast rats were just a mob. Bei Chen and the others cast various magical spells that attacked neatly. Fire system, column of flame. Wood system, twine. Ice system, icicle. Wind system, wind blades. Streaks of light flashed by in the surrounding area. A countless number of element spells bombarded an area of 500 meters. The place where light flashed by would have a bunch of black-furred magical beast rats fall down in place. Finally, in the end, all of the black-furred magical beast rats were cleanly wiped out. Exhale finally killed all of them. Ziyan's whole body was drained as she fell to sit down in place. Now, the clothing on her body was blood-stained. Her face and upper body was full of sweat. This battle nearly consumed all of her physical and spirit strength. Now she didn't even have the strength to move a finger. Just now, in order to survive, to achieve victory, she had killed non-stop. Now, after finished killing, when she returned to her senses, she then realized how exhausted her body was. It was not only Ziyin. Almost everyone on the scene was as tired as an ox, gasping for breath. But during this battle, Nangong Luyun, from beginning to the end, didn't make a move. Now that the battle had ended, naturally, there were some people who complained. We obviously had 8 people, but only 6 people fought. Of course we were no match for the rat tide. Humph. Luo Jie recalled those countless rats pouring out of everywhere, madly rushing towards her. She could only felt her scalp go numb. As a result, her complaints only became stronger. Ziyin scoffed heavily in displeasure. Luo and Nangong Luyun didn't fight in the battle, but which of her 3 spirit pets were inferior to us? If they didn't fight, could you still live until now? Luo Jie was suddenly choked by her words. She wanted to retort, but realized that what Ziyin said was the truth. But what about those cyan-colored crystal stones? Shouldn't it be distributed equally? Luo Haochen's expression was imperious. He had looked on helplessly as those 2 spirit pets split the crystal stones, one after another, with crunching sounds like biting on beans. Only heavens knew. He was close to going mad out of jealousy. Those weren't green soybeans. Those were cyan-colored crystal stones. My good brethren, all right? Eating them like green soybeans, wouldn't it choke them to death? Therefore, after having survived, Luo Haochen's first sentence was to mention the issue of who those cyan-colored crystal stones belonged to. Nangong Luyun and Su Luo exchanged a glance. Both saw a smiling expression in each other's eyes. But neither of them said anything. They wanted to see just how selfish human nature was, how greedy. Bei Qining unhappily rolled his eyes at Luo Haochen. I only want to ask you, if there weren't the little divine dragon and little fox fighting in this battle, would we have died? Luo Haochen shot a glance at Nangong Luyun, but didn't say anything. Bei Qining raised his eyebrows in a ridiculing manner. In fact, your heart is very clear on this matter. We would have died, moreover, died a really ugly death. But these two spirit pets fought in the battle, and nearly all of the magical beast rat leaders died under their claws. May I ask, did you help them even a little bit? Luo Haochen coldly snorted, then turned his face away. Ziyin took over Bei Qinying's speech and sneered repeatedly. Since you guys didn't help kill the magical beast rat leaders, then for what reason would you guys have at dividing the cyan-colored crystal stones? Don't tell me. Having saved your lives, they still need to divide a cyan-colored crystal stone with you guys? Pfft. Your lives are really as precious as gold. Chapter 11:11. Danger lurks on every side. 1. Relatively speaking, Ziyan's words were much sharper and even more unforgiving of a person's face. However, with regards to these greedy, vile characters, even sharper words couldn't make them blush. Luo Haochen curled his lips and turned his face away. Although there aren't any more crystal nucleus from magical beast rat leaders, however, there are still a lot of crystal nucleus from the small magical beast rats. It can still be considered that we have earned a profit. Ziyin laughed out loud with ha 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 and turned around to pick at the magical beast rats' corpses. Seeing Ziyin begin to collect them, everyone also didn't want to be outdone. They joined in, one by one. Luo, you're not coming? Ziyin pulled at Bei Qining. The two people picked the nucleus in great delight, yet still didn't forget to call out to Su Luo. These magical beast rats were all at the 4th and 5th rank. The majority of these crystal stones were red and yellow colored. Although they already had no use for these magical beast crystal nucleus, however, with regards to the younger generations in their family, it was still very good crystal stones for their cultivation. Su Luo smiled lightly and shook her head slightly. Her several spirit pets could find their own food. The amethyst crystal fish in her space also laid eggs at a fixed time. These low-leveled crystal stones on the ground didn't have any attractiveness to her. Just when everyone was picking away in high spirits suddenly, Nangong Liuyun's gaze slightly creased. What's wrong? Su Luo was the first to discover his fishiness. Nangong Liuyun's cultivation was the highest among them. If even he was frowning, clearly, the matter was somewhat grave. There's danger approaching. Take precautions. Nangong Liuyun's voice was ice-cold like cold iron. Those several people that were happily picking up things immediately stiffened from head to toe. They straightened up one after another, directly entering a battle-ready state. It was simply because Nangong Liuyun's unfeeling image had already entered deeply into people's hearts, making people's heart palpitate. At the moment, the sun in the mid-air had already ascended to the center. The temperature all around gradually rose to another height. Between the time it took Bei Qining to raise his head, he suddenly discovered something was wrong. Why are there two suns? Everyone, one by one, raised their heads to look. Sure enough, it was like what Bei Qining had said. Now, there really were two suns in the sky. This moment was simply too bizarre. The two suns were up in the middle of the sky. Like this, the effect it caused was absolutely not as simple as 1 plus 1. At this moment, the temperature in the surroundings was very clearly going up quickly. In the desert, one after another, streams of greenish-black smoke were subsequently given off. As far as the eye could reach, it was a misty and confusing color, blurring their line of sight. Everyone felt as if they were in an oven. All around was the boiling hot fire element, so hot as to nearly suffocate them. So hot. Li Yaoyao was the very first to be unable to bear it. Both her eyes flipped outwards, her figure on the verge of collapse, nearly falling down. At this moment, she almost couldn't breathe. What's to be done? If another sun was to appear, the consequences are too horrible to contemplate. Luo Jie called out loudly, because she was also nearly unable to go on. In the wake of Luo Jie's having just said that sentence, unexpectedly, they saw in midair a clear blazing red sphere slowly appearing. It's another sun. Luo Jie, fuck. You truly have a crow's beak. You quickly give me to shut up. Ziyin was almost roasted into human jerky. Her temper also became more irascible. Luo Jie, seeing the phenomenon in front of her, was completely stunned. She only said the sentence in a moment of desperation. Who would have thought that another sun would really appear? If she had known earlier, even if you beat her to death, she wouldn't say it. Luo Jie tightly covered her mouth, fearing that she would once again make an inauspicious remark. However, at present, 3 scorching hot suns in the sky roasted the desert, one after another. Streams of greenish-black smoke lingered and intertwined, lingering and pervading through the air. My feet are almost scalded to the point of being cooked, Li Yaoyao dispiritedly said. Situ Ming, without saying another word, directly put Li Yaoyao on his back. Now, what's to be done about this temperature? Su Luo, seeing the circumstances were becoming more and more dire, asked Nangong Luyun in a low voice. Nangong Luyun frowned slightly. This is still not the most grave matter. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.